What's up? Well, on the wrong thing. There we go. What's up? How's everyone going? Try. Thank you so much for that raid. I hope Crime Scene Cleaner went well. Glad I got to pop in and catch a little bit of the tail end of it. Trombone, thank you for the look. Varath, how you're doing? How are you doing? There you go. It was great having you in book club and getting to chat a little bit last night. Excited that you could come pop in for today. And so, yeah, so it's been a hot minute since I've been able to stream. The reason for that is because I was going to this Lorcana tournament and it took up a whole lot of my Sundays. And so that meant that I couldn't stream at my normal time. And then the weeks were busy because of just not trying to get either squeeze in other stuff or because I just didn't have time for whatever reason. And with practice and all of that. And then still being social, still doing all that kind of stuff. And so it's been, I don't know, probably over a month since we've had a stream. And so I'm excited. Hopefully we'll have some time, to get through and get back to a semi-normal schedule. I know my, category was on Viewfinder still, which feels like it's been forever since I streamed that game. And so we're here, we're having fun, happy to be back and happy to be chatting Lorcana. It was fun, love the game, and getting a new map is great. Adulting means having no time. Yeah, that's definitely how it goes. Especially when I've always been envious of the people that can have one hobby and fully dedicate themselves to that hobby. I am very much not that person. I have way too many distinct hobbies and they all take too much time. And so it definitely makes it challenging to get everything to fit in. And obviously something has to give. And so need a break from training. Ooh, so you're here for the distraction. Well, happy that I could be the distraction. Hope training is going well. Panda boy, how you doing today? And so, yeah, so for people that don't know, the goal for today is, we are going to review DLC Milwaukee from a game standpoint. So we're going to talk through the 14 rounds that I played between the main event and then the Infinity side event. Similar to the times that I've done this in the past, we are going to, I took notes on the game, so I will be looking at my phone so I can have ideas of what those notes are. And then we'll talk through all 14 of those games. I played 14 games in 2 days, so I remember very specific bits and pieces of them. So compared to the times that I've done these breakdowns and reviews in the past, where I have played 6 games total, and that's all we're talking about. So let me move my water real quick. So that's going to be our goal number 1. And I'll try to timestamp all of this on YouTube after it processes. Goal number 2, we'll talk about traveling for my first tournament. So for people that don't know, I've played Pokemon some, I have played a good amount of Magic, but I was never super serious competitive. And so, hey, appreciate you lurking, Try, and appreciate the raid. And raiders that came in with Try, welcome in. Hope y'all are having a good day. I know I said hi to Try, but realizing I did not say hi to y'all. So happy that you could be here. And so, yeah, so we'll kind of talk then about traveling to Milwaukee, the tournament, stuff like that. I have played in, some local larger Magic tournaments. So I played in an SCG Open, but I had not even actively been practicing and stuff. It was just, hey, one's here, I can go and play. And so this was my first time traveling for a tournament. So we'll talk about that and kind of get into travel stories and some hopefully constructive criticism for past times running the event. And then finally, we are going to take a look at Whispers in the Well, assuming we have time. We are going to be taking a look at some of the new cards and talking about maybe some, or at least my current state for where my new deck is going to be post Whispers in the Well release this weekend. And so all of that said, I hope everyone in chat is ready. We're jumping in. Let me get over to, change my thing here. Let's get over to this. Okay. So, as always, let me know, favorite Disney character, favorite Disney movie, especially if different than character. And we're going to go and chat through. And so this is my deck. So this is what I brought and what I played in the main event. So this was a core constructed main event, which means it sets 5 through 9 of cards that are legal. And then any cards that were reprinted, we had access to. So for example, like Hades was in set 1, but was reprinted in set 9. And so yeah. So I played Blurple. This is what I've been playing this whole season. So not necessarily any like drastic difference there versus what I've been used to. A lot of this time has just been trying to like get the list to a spot that I was happy with. Overall, I liked the 60 that I brought. There's 1 or 2 cards that I definitely like either wish I would have found space for, or I either wish I would have found space for, or like I wish the deck could have played well. We'll talk a little bit about those when we get into that. Actually, let me go. Oops, that's not specifically what I wanted. Hitting all the wrong buttons, everyone. Calm down. Does that mean the reprint is Hades 2? I'll see myself out. I did play some more Hades 2 this morning. Let's see. I think this was my set champs Blurple. Yeah. And so, and that messed up my view. Okay. And so Rafiki here for the aggro. It's a big, 3-2 when you're challenging your opponents. It's good at taking stuff out. Basil supports. I would have liked to have found room for another Basil, but it just felt bad a lot of the time. And so I only was playing 2. I know some of the other lists were playing 4 Basils and 2 or 3 Rafikis, and that seems bananas to me, but they did better than I did. And so Tipo, our ramp, and then we have our evasive package of Dumbo, Genie, TikTok, and Elsa. And so the point of those cards is to replace themselves, kind of just hang out in the skies, and then Dumbo gives them all the ability to exert them, pay 1, and then draw a card. And so it's a good way of trying to establish a board control and then use that to snowball into card advantage. Madam Mim Elephant is here to bounce a character to reset their enter the play effect. And then at the start of your turn, you can move 2 damage from her to another character, or to an opposing character. And so that's very powerful. It gives you some good outs, where they played a character, you move damage to them, take them out, and they can't ever quest. And so, Ben, is here for the support ability. And so support means you can give their strength to another character. Ben also quests for 2. And so we'll talk about them in our the first deck that we're looking at. But there's a very prevalent card that gives your characters -3, and it has 4 strength, or 4 willpower. So Ben plus Rafiki cleanly takes out that character. And so that's the intent of Ben here. We have Belle, Accomplished Mystic. She's a big body as a 4/4, and then you can also use her to move some damage around, which can be very helpful as well. Elsa exerts one of your opposing characters, letting you challenge into them. Ursula, you get to exert one of their characters, then play a song for free. That's less than the cost of their the character that you exerted. So, and a lot of times it's just a 5th Elsa, where the intent is to just exert something down. TikTok is just a big boy who is evasive. Hades is kind of the happy place of the deck is if you can play Hades, like do something with it, bounce it with Mem, and that's just kind of like where you want to be. Puts one of your opposing characters into their opposing inkwell, and then quests for 2. Monstro, big boy, is good in the Amethyst Steel matchup if they don't have an evasive draw themselves. So the idea is like you use your evasives to control the sky, and then you use Monstro to take them out, take out their ground characters. And then Ratigan, Greedy Genius, is here for the slower decks, either other Blurple or Baja decks, because he has Ward, just big. So you play him, you're guaranteed 4 lore, and then if you can protect him into the next turn, it's a very easy to get 8 lore off of Ratigan and close out the game. For our actions, we have Develop the Brain and Visions to help us basically filter. We have Hypnotic Strength. It draws us a card, gives our character challenger 2, so they hit 2 harder. And then we can also use this on our opponent's illusions to get rid of them, which is pretty cool. Sail is another ramp card. And then our songs, we're running the 7. One jump ahead lets us ink the top card of our deck. Into the Unknown lets us put an exerted character into their player's inkwell. And then Second Star to the right lets us draw 5 cards and is a sing together. So multiple characters can sing it. So the dream for this deck is like either Rafiki on Basil on 1, and then either Tipo or Sail on 2, and then playing Genie on 3. Or playing Ben if you're in an aggro matchup. And then from there, you just kind of establish the board with control, typically using Elsa to get you to Hades is typically the goal. You typically want to just have your opponent on the fewest characters possible, and then you want to just kind of run away with the game. And so my goal, of course, was to win the whole thing, but that was very unreasonable. And so my practical goal is that there was a promo that you would get for getting 3 wins of Mulan charging ahead. And so my goal was to get that promo. Anything past that was gravy and something that I was excited about, but that was definitely the main goal for the tournament. And so round 1. Oh, and I should say, as we show decks, with the exception of one of these, none of these are actually my opponent's decks. These are just similar decks that fit the vibe. And so we're going to kind of just talk through them. But yeah, just be aware that like with this deck in specific, there are cards in this version that are not actually in, or that are missing from what my opponents actually played. But this is just kind of here to help get the vibe. So round 1, I played Amber Steel. This is the like one of the big aggro decks in the format. And so the way that Lorcana works is you draw 7 cards in hand. You can choose any number of them to keep. And then if you don't like them, you can send them back and draw enough cards to replace them. And so you always start the game with 7. So for Blurple, our goal is to always have a Tipo or a Sail. And so if you don't, you basically want to mulligan 7. And so in this matchup, I did not have Tipo or Sail in my opener. I threw the whole hand back, and then I missed Tipo and Sail. And then one jump ahead is kind of the 9th card there. That one's definitely not ideal. That's the one you would like the least, but it is reasonable. And so, and the reason actually that we're playing one jump, and I guess this goes into the changes that I made from the other versions. So I used to be playing 2 big Elsas. Do I have them in this list? Yeah. I used to be playing 2 of this Elsa Spirit of Winters as like a big top end quest for 3. It locks down 2 of your opponent's characters. They can't ready. And I just kept on getting bricked on cards. I would either have a lot of, like through the set champs I was playing, I would either have a lot of my high cost uninkables stuck in hand, or I would just never be able to get to them. And so both of these Elsas, I wanted to play them, but I ended up taking them both out. I don't know if that was correct. I don't think it was. I probably should have played one, but I ended up taking these Elsas out, and it became one jump, and then it became Ursula. And so, yeah, like I had a set champs where like I got stuck with like triple Hades, second star Elsa in hand, and it was just like, yep, this is miserable. And like I lost set champs off of that. And I had a couple other like wonky hands where like I was never like unable to ink, but like I only had one card that I could ink. And so that went away. Playing the one jump like increases, like I think it increases it to less than 1 out of 3 of missing ramp in your opening 7. And then like it makes it like a quarter of the time you miss ramp in your second 7. And so overall pretty good odds that you're going to hit your ramp. And so sure enough, game 1 against my hardest matchup, we missed it. And so we did not hit our TPO, did not hit our sail, did not hit our one jump. I think my opponent was on the draw or was on the play. And I like had this super bad hand, and she went and goes like ink something Aurora holding court. And I was just like, cool, we're not getting very far. I did battle. Like, I feel like this, like with a better hand, I might have been able to, like, I don't know if I would have won this matchup or this game, but I definitely feel like I battled well for how bad my hand was. I think I got turn 3 ramp instead of turn 2. And then from there was just like super far behind. Again, tried to battle. I think my opponent played like, played Daisy on turn 2 and then played like Fire the Cannons to take out a Rafiki or something like that. And so it was basically, in that sense, basically over just because I had to take turn 2 and 3 off. And so, but I had a good hand, and I think, yeah, again, had I actually had what the deck wanted to do, I think it would have been very different. Game 2, my note is that she had a mid draw. I got very lucky. Like she never had a turn 1 Daisy. And so that was definitely a huge part. And that definitely changes this matchup a lot. And then like, I think she might've gone like turn 1 Rhino when I had no characters in play. And so, or when I had no exerted characters, so or she had no exerted. So it's not like I could have challenged with Rafiki or something. And so I was definitely off to a good start in game 2, then just kind of powered through. Game 3, she had a really good board going into turn 6, and I was basically able to just answer everything. Like, I think she had like an unexerted Nala, and I was able to like play Elsa, take Nala out with Rafiki, use Elsa to take out Daisy or take out Lady. I think she had played Pete, but like it didn't matter, and I was able to just kind of tear through. And so from there, it took a while to like actually win the game, but I have in my notes that she never quested above 14, or never quested after she hit 14, where like I was able to basically just constantly answer what it was that she was playing. And I think that there was like, I don't think she ever hit Doc, I think was a big part of it. And she never hit Doc. And then it's not in this list, but she was playing Zombie Lilo. So at the start of your turn, you can, if this card is in your discard, you can play her and she enters exerted. So like my opponent just like didn't have anything else to do with her ink, was only drawing one card, and was basically constantly pulling this out of their inkwell. And then I was able to basically just constantly challenge it with a character and then just build up damage on them, and then use Bell to like move that damage around. And so we're 1-1 on the day, beating our hardest matchup in round 1. Round 2, we played against Purple Steel. And so this is overall a good matchup, but is like kind of a fine line, as we'll discuss later. And so in my notes, I have that game 1 went the normal way this matchup goes, which is basically just we ramped ahead and then we're able to just consistently keep them off of multiple cards. You want to keep them in like the low teens on lore so that they can't like surprise you with White Rose and Giant Cobra. And so then you basically have to also, kind of similar to the Amber Steel, you got to get a little lucky with their dock hits of like hoping their docks don't like do anything crazy. And then like the way that I play this matchup is as they play like this Genie, this genie, Dumbo, Elsa, is that you need to like control the evasives. Like you need to make sure that they can never attack your evasive characters other than like a top decked Elsa. And then while doing that, do whatever you can to make sure to keep their Yzma out of play. Make sure that they don't go too crazy on, like with Calhoun to take stuff out. Like you want to trade Rafiki to take out their Calhoun if you can. Make sure Skater Mim doesn't give them anything too crazy. And so I powered through. Game 2, my note says no card draw, which I assume means I just like never hit Genie. I never got a Dumbo outgoing. I couldn't sing Second Star, which like, let me tell you, I'm so excited to get this card out of my deck. Like it draws you 5 cards, but like the number of times that I've had like, cause like you can use 10 cost of characters to sing this for free by exerting those characters. The number of times I've had like 9 cost of characters and 7 ink or whatever, and just never been able to play it. I'm so excited to never play this card again. I hope that the card draw that we're getting in the new set will help with that a whole bunch. And so, and then game 3, I have no card draw, but I was ahead and hit best top decks 3 turns in a row. So I don't exactly remember what had happened here. I was posting stuff. Actually, let me go check out my Blue Sky, because I did post like breakdown of some stuff over there. Let me see if I have any like additional notes. Also, if you're on Blue Sky, you can find me over there. And so, okay, in game 2, I got stuck with 2 Second Star. And then game 3, it just says hit perfect top decks 3 turns in a row. So whatever it was that they had out, I was just hitting perfect answers. This might have been an Ursula Sing Into the Unknown. I don't 100% remember. Again, this is the challenge of doing these like not immediately after, but managed to eke out the win. And then round 3, played against Dino Baja. This might actually be the player's deck. I played against Zach from 20 Lore Pro. They're the people that ran the Lone Star tournament that I went to previously. And so I think this is Zach's actual deck, but I could be wrong. I don't know why it says Infinity and not Core, but whatever. And so this deck was super interesting. I'd played against Baja before. I'd lost to it in like the final round of a set champs. Still made top cut, but like it would have been in a much better place had I not lost to them. And so the deck is really challenging because you have to like aggressively ink, and then you need to like they have down here. Oh, this one actually isn't playing it. They usually have a card called You're Welcome, which makes you shuffle one of your characters into your deck and then draw 2 cards. And then they use Clarabelle here. Basically, if they have less cards in hand than you at the end of their turn, then you draw a whole bunch. Locke, thank you for that lurk. Hope the playtest goes well. Appreciate you coming by. And so it looks like this version's not playing it, but that's kind of the goal. And then so that was kind of what I was playing towards. And then like, this just has a lot of like good value characters. Like, Clarabelle is great, because it gives you a shift target for the other Clarabelle. Like, this version is also playing the same ramp package we are. They're not playing, there's a 5-drop Donald that some of the decks are playing. It looks like this version is not, if this is actually Zach's deck. Scrooge is just powerful. It's just a 5/5, but like it's a card that I would like to play in my deck, but man, it's just a big uninkable. They're at 15, which is just a lot of uninkables in this list. Baymax is super cool. It's a great way of like sneaking out some lore at the end. For some reason does not have evasive. You get some crazy stuff with Baymax because Baymax can shift onto any character. So the typical play line is like you on turn 2 you play Tipo that puts an extra ink in play. Then on turn 3 you play Big Baymax, and so that's like really powerful. And then it gives you like a 6-cost Singer on turn 3. This Basil is really cool. I thankfully played against this, I think, at a regular league the week before, so I'd at least like had some idea of what to do here. So this Basil basically is whenever you ink, you can pay 1, and if you do, your opponent discards a card. It's really annoying, like, and so it kind of makes you play the way that you already want to play in this deck, which is like empty your hand, and because that way then Basil's not making you discard cards. Semi-Siva Thievesy, ooh, in the Wild West. That sounds interesting, Locke. And so, yeah, so super annoying, like a good card. Quests for 2, like John Silver. This is one of the reprints from set 1. When you play this character, whenever he quests, chosen opposing character gains Reckless until the end of the turn. Reckless means they can't quest and must challenge if able. And then he's a 2-quester as well. Mother Gothel. When this enters, the opponent chooses a card and returns it to their hand. Raya. When this quests, you can pay 2, and then you can ready another character. We'll talk more about this effect later on. Robin is evasive on your turn, so it lets you take out opposing Dumbos. And then if your opponent has more cards in hand than you can play this to draw a card. I already talked about Clarabelle. And then this version is playing Down in New Orleans. So for this, you look at the top 3 cards of your deck. You can reveal a character, item, or location that costs 6 or less and play it for free. Put the rest on the bottom of your deck in any order. And so, very interesting card. It's a card I really like, but is very swingy. We've talked about this idea in Lorcana a lot of like one of the challenges is like a lot of times the cards that get you the thing also get in the way of getting the thing. So like, for example, like this gets, you want a 6-cost Singer, which means you need to be able to shift Baymax on, to sing it as early as possible. But then, you won't have to hit a character, item, or location, but playing Down in New Orleans, playing Under the Sea, playing Sail, like can be enough to kind of gum up your choices. And then like hitting a lot of these like lower end things just like aren't great. And so, but it's a solid list overall. And so game 1, I misread Raya. Usually in Lorcana, if a card lets you ready another character, that character then can't quest for the rest of the turn. Raya does not say that. And so I definitely had a situation where my opponent was at 15 lore. They played Raya, or they had Raya and John out. They quested with John Silver, gave like a Hades Reckless, quested with Raya, paid 2, gave John Silver, or readied John Silver, and quested with that again. So I guess they were at 13, actually not 15. So that put them at 19 lore. It was Hades and Bell. They gave Reckless. And so I sent Hades and Bell to take care of one of the characters, and then I used Dumbo and Elsa to get rid of the other. And then I had another Hades in hand that I was able to use to get rid of their one readied character. And so it was like a bunch of like hard sacrifices there, but it stabilized the board. And I was able to use that to win on the next turn. And then in game 2, I had, I have a note that says I almost misplayed on a Dumbo trigger. Do not recall what that means now. And then he missed Dino early. So this was a game where he had like the ideal draw. A Tipo turn 2, shift into Baymax, sang down in New Orleans on turn 3. Completely whiffed, hit no cards out of the 3, because 3 cards off the top of your deck is not a lot. And so they missed. I was then able to get some stuff going. They sang down in New Orleans again, hit a Scrooge. And then in this game, they also got to 19 lore. And so it was very tight. And overall was probably one of, like, how I feel, probably one of the best matches I've ever played in terms of how well I feel like I did in that match. And so I was really proud of this. I won, again, with them at 19 on both games. This was my third win, which locked me in for my Mulan promo, which is super exciting. And so that was crazy hype. We've now in the first 3 rounds, we have now accomplished our goal. And so that was really cool. And then, yeah, like walking back to the table after this match, like we had a big like DFW hangout table that we'd kind of procured. And so we would all meet back up over there after every round and kind of share how things were going. And so like, this was crazy cool. I was very happy for this one. And it was a matchup that I feel like I navigated super well. And that, yeah, like I said, helped me accomplish my goal for the whole tournament. And so I was hyped about that. Round 4, we played against another Blurple. And man, was this a roller coaster of like, from the match that I felt most proud of myself for how it went. We then played another Blurple, and it was probably one of the worst matches I've ever played. It was a match where, like, my note just says fell behind and stayed behind. And like, I feel like my opponent hit like all of the really good spots that you're supposed to hit with this deck, of like 1-drop Basil into a 2-drop ramp, into a 4-drop character, into Elsa. And like, I was not hitting those. Like, I don't remember the specifics. I know, like, I think in game 2, I like played turn 4 Dumbo, or turn 3, I played Dumbo. And then I think I just couldn't activate it because they had like stuff in play, and then they just like played Elsa and took it out. Or maybe I did activate it, but it just felt like super rough. And just like felt like I never got anywhere. I think this is one of the games where I got stuck with, second star in my hand, and just kind of was there. And so that's our first loss. When you get your third loss, you're eliminated from the chance at day 2. And so we have 1 loss, 3 wins, battling on. This was definitely a go and pull myself together. And so round 4, I played against another purple steel list. I think my opponent had 0 cards, or had 1 card in hand. And I had stabilized the board and was ready to like start trying to win on the next turn. I think they were at 18. And it turned out that 1 card was a giant cobra, that when you play it, you can choose and discard a card to gain 2 lore. And so they showed me the cobra and said I win on my turn, and I scooped the game, because there was nothing that I could do about that. And so then game 2, I drew 5 ramp cards and couldn't get anything off of multiple visions. And so this was a weird one where like I played vision, both of my visions, which helps us look at 10 cards. I think I had double sail and triple TPO, or vice versa, or something like that. And so like, I feel like I looked at like 10 to 15 extra cards between those and develop your brains, and then just like couldn't do anything. I think I had to TPO, unless I'm thinking of a different match, I think I had to TPO a second star, and then what happened? And then I played develop, and I had a Hades on board, and I hit another Hades and a second star with like no other cards in hand, or 1 irrelevant card in hand. And so I had to take the other Hades. I played that. I'm sorry, I'm skimming my notes to make sure this isn't me thinking of a different one. Yeah. And so I had to take the other Hades, had to challenge something with the one I had in play, got rid of something. They took out the Hades that I had on board. They took out the Hades that I had just played, and then they locked me out. And I just like, it was a game that like, I really wish I could go and watch back, because something happened. Like, I feel like I looked at so many additional cards that somewhere I just messed up. And it's a matchup that, like, from a learning perspective, I would really like to, like, have that so I could go and see, okay, well, on this Visions, I hit these cards. Realistically, that means I should have taken this and things like that. Like, hindsight's always 20/20, but I was pretty upset about getting this loss. This is my second loss, so I'm still in the tournament, but I was definitely now, like, one more loss eliminates me. And so we're 3-2 on the day. And going from, like, I've had a 2-0 curse the past handful of tournaments that I've gone to, where, like, I would win my first 2 rounds and then it would fall apart from there. I got my third win here, and then now things have kind of fallen apart. And so I am definitely, like, battling this out. But yeah, it was a brutal loss. Like, there wasn't much I could have done quicker in game 1, but game 2 was just, like, super brutal. And so I really wish, like I said, that I could have gone back and watched this matchup, and I'd be super curious to how things would have gone or could have gone differently. I don't remember exactly what my mulligan was. Like, it's possible that I kept a Tipo and a Sail, and then I should have mulliganed one of them, but, like, again, that's very hindsighty of, like, okay, well, had I known I was going to draw 3 more ramp pieces, like, of course I would have played differently. But yeah, so that was brutal. We're still in, though. So we go from playing Amethyst Steel to playing Amber Steel again. I'm again also on the draw, so that means my opponent is playing first, which is brutally difficult. And so having your, like, worst matchup get to be on the play is very challenging. I have in my notes, I eked out a win on the draw. And I remember being super proud of this one. I should say, they're down here. After my Amethyst Steel loss was so fast, they had some artists at the event. And so it was a cool opportunity to go and get some cards signed. And so I went, it'd be difficult to see on stream, but I got 2 of my set champ Maleficent Dragons and 2 of my set champ Jafar High Sultan of Lorcanas autographed by the author or by the artist. So that was super cool. And it was all free, which was even more exciting. And so, yeah, it was really like that. It was cool that they had artists there. And so game 1, I eked out a win. I don't have other notes than that. And they were on the play again, and I got 20-0'd. So they got to 20 lore. I had 0. And so that was great. And then shout out to some of my friends of, like, kind of talking through some lines about the matchup. One of them had called out how good playing Tipo into Elephant was. And, like, this is something that, like, I had done before, but, like, this was, like, literally, like, fresh in my mind going into this round. And in game 2, I was able to play Tipo on turn 2, put an extra ink in the play. Then on turn 3, I sang my one jump ahead to go up to 5 lore for the turn. And I played Madam Mim, So then I played Madam Mim Elephant, bounced Tipo to my hand. And then from there, my notes just say double Elsa. Of keeping everything out of play. I talked about earlier, like, if you can stick a Madam Mim and they can't get rid of it, it's so hard for them to play anything for the rest of the game, especially if you can pair it with Elsa's. And so, like, what you do here is, like, you have Madam Mim, you exert something with Elsa, then you challenge with Mim, just to get some damage on Mim. And then as long as Mim is out of Strength of the Raging Fire range, if they play anything, you move damage over, you take it out. And so it's very difficult if you can get this Mim going. So So yeah, shout out to friends for having that fresh in my mind. And then, so we were able to get the win here. Was very excited about that. Still in. We're 4-2 on the day. There's 2 more rounds on day 1. You have to go 6-2 to make day 3. And so round 7, I played against Amethyst Steel again. My notes for game 1 just says demolished him. So like, I don't know exactly what happened there, but good for me. Love that for me. Then in game 2, he had triple dock, which was disgusting. So he like had played 2 docks and then had played a Mim Elephant to bounce one of the docks and then replayed it. And I was like, thanks, I hate it. They were able to basically just like mid-range me on the card draw. So that was brutal. Yeah. And so, yeah, Veroth, it was a clinic of docks is like they've been discussing the like a crash of rhinos. And so, it was awful. And then, oh no, sorry. And this is the game 3 where I had, Hades on board, and I developed into Hades second star. And so game 3 here, I, just like my notes say, I just ran out of resources. I feel like I was like just top decking for a good chunk of this game and just like couldn't get anywhere. Like it might've been like I never drew genies, or like I drew a Dumbo and then they were able to answer the Dumbo or something like that. And so just kind of could not like turn any corners or do anything, and just like ran out of value and stayed out of value for the rest of the game. And so like that was definitely frustrating. It was very like defeating's the wrong word, because like I feel like I played well. So like this wasn't like the Blurple match that I had in round 4 where I just like felt like I just did nothing the whole like for that whole match, but like just like running out of resources and with a deck that's all about having resources was definitely a struggle. And so they got me in 3. That's how it goes. That's how the cookie crumbles. And with that, I'm officially out of the tournament. I could have technically played one more round if I wanted to. But there was really no reason to do that. There was no reward for going 5-3 or for playing all 8 rounds or anything like that. And so hit my 3 losses, went and got my Mulan promo, and then peaced out. And so that was day 1. Again, I'm happy I accomplished my goal. I was very excited that I was able to get my 3 wins and get my Jasmine. I think I landed, let me check my, I landed in 581st place out of like 2,000. So just a little above top quarter, or below top quarter, I guess, technically. And I think top 250 made day 2. I could be wrong there. I think it was 256 made day 2. And so overall, like happy with how it went. I'm happy with how it played. I'm glad I got my wins. Things I would do differently. I am iffy on the hypnotic strength being at 4. Like in some matchups, it's just so useful because it gets rid of your opponent's illusions. But other times, it just like, yeah, it's just cycle it to draw a card. As I said earlier, I hate second star. Drawing 5 cards feels great, but like there are so many times where it just kind of gets stuck in your hand. Or you get into weird spaces where, like, again, you just can't sing it. And a lot of the games, because of it, just kind of devolve into, okay, I'm playing against another Blurple deck. They have second star. I have second star. And it's just us trying to keep the other person from being able to sing it. And so I wish there was a little bit. I'm excited for us to get more card draw in Whispers in the Well, so that hopefully second star doesn't have to be played. And so... and then, yeah, I wish I could have fit in another big Elsa, just because I really like that card. But again, it just felt like it was clogging up my hand so much in testing. And so I was overall pretty happy with Ursula, like on the day, like just, I definitely got to do a sing one jump ahead with her. I also got to just sing Into the Unknown a couple times. And so I was pretty excited about that. I wish the songs were a little bit more impactful, because then I feel like Ursula would be a lot better. We'll see about Purple Steel if they end up playing Ursula next format, just because we are getting better songs. So I could see it actually being worth it again. But we'll see. I'm by no means a Amethyst Steel player. And so then that brings us to day 2, where I played in the Infinity tournament. We're switching to a different website. Let's enhance. So Infinity is all cards are legal. And so, spoiler alert, I got 244th. And so this tournament was basically for everyone that didn't make it into day 2 of the event. You could go and enter this other tournament. If you did, you got a second Mulan. And so, just for entering. And so, like, I think this says it was 790 players. I think it was like 720 players or something like that. Because I think there's a handful of people that signed up just to get the Mulan, and then they pieced out. And so, but yeah, so for this, all cards are legal. The big bad of the format is Blue Steel. We'll talk about them later on. I had a friend that was going to build Blue Steel for me, and then for reasons was not able to actually do that. And so I just threw together Infinity Blurple. And so this is very similar to the deck that I played last format, basically mashed with the deck that I'm currently playing. And so it has the same Tipo sale package, and then it brings in just a lot of other really good cards. And so, like, you have Madam Mim Fox instead of Madam Mim Elephant. So this one's great against the aggro, because you can, like, bounce Tipo, play Madam Mim, bounce Tipo, and then you can take out a Daisy, since Madam Mim has 4 strength. This has the Dumbo Genie Elsa package. Merlin Goat, when you play and when it leaves, you gain a lore. We're playing our one of Ursula Voice Stealer. This was supposed to be another How Far I'll Go, but I only had 2, and so I played this instead because it was an inkable that I could play. And then we have Kita. This is technically legal in current Blurple, but we don't typically play it. But she has Ward, and then you can exert her and look at the top 2 cards of your deck, put one in your Inkwell and your other on top of the deck. And so you can, like, set up your next draw with her, and you can ramp ahead. And so Kita's pretty cool for that. You also have Belle. I was only playing 2 Bells. And then you have Tamatoa. When you play it, you can get 2 items from your discard to your hand, and then when you quest, you can play an item for free. And then 4 Hades. Topping out our curve. And then for our items, we have 4 Popsicle. And so when you play it, you draw a card, and then you can banish it and remove up to 2 damage from chosen character. So the ideal is that you play this on turn 1, and then you can banish it to play Belle Apprentice Inventor for free by banishing an item. And so, whereas, like, current Blurple, like, we're having to play Rafiki to have a character that can challenge for 3 on turn 1. In this one, you get to play Popsicle Belle, and you have a character that, like, has 3 strength on defense and is, like, a really good attacker, and is a very good singer, notably, as well. Actions, the only action that we're playing is Sail, or the only, I guess, non-song action. And then for songs, we have 4 Friends on the Other Side, which is a 3-cost draw 2 cards. We have 4 Into the Unknowns again, and then we have 2 How Far I'll Goes. So like, the ideal play here is, like, Paw for Belle. On turn 2, you sing Friends on the Other Side, and then you play Tipo or Sail. If you play Sail, you then play another Paw, and then you are kind of just like off to the races there. And ideally you like that friends on the other side drew you into another friends on the other side. And you can just draw so many cards. And then Belle herself is so threatening to aggro decks that like it can be very hard for them to like quest if you can get an early Belle out. And so then how far I go. And then I was playing 2 McDuck Manors. This is just a location that gets you 2 lore at the start of your turn. And so it's good against the slower matchups. We'll talk about this card specifically in one of the matchups. But yeah, I had done literally 0 play testing of this deck, going into the event. This was like, I had played, one of my friends, Liz, was there, and, she was playing blue-red. And so like I sleeved this up. She and I played 2 games, and then that was literally all of the play testing that I had done. And like, even then I'd made no adjustments after playing her. It was just like, yep, this is a deck. We're going to see how this goes. And so this tournament was 7 rounds, and then you got more prizes based on, how well you did. And so, yeah. So this was a cool list. Again, I really like this. Blurple is like very off meta in Infinity, which is really funny because it's like the meta right now in core. And so I feel like there was a lot of surprise when I brought this out. And so yeah, so round 1 I played against, I believe their name is Ryan. I don't think this is their deck, but I played against Ryan from Ducktail Dads, and they were playing Blue Steel. And so this list is kind of a similar idea to what we're doing, in the sense of like you're using items and Belle to get ahead. And then like you're ramping a lot. You're playing Hiram to banish items to draw extra cards. You're playing Tamatoa to get these back. And then like these lists are playing Tamatoa so shiny as basically just a way of like getting a whole bunch of lore really fast. And then one of the big differences is like, so we're using in Blurple, we're using our songs. Half of them are for card draw, and then the other half is to remove exerted characters. They can use their Belle to sing Let the Storm Rage On, which replaces itself, or Strength of the Raging Fire. And so like they have a lot of really good removals options in their Belle, whereas we have one mediocre removal option in our Belle. And so game 1, I had a slower start. I feel like I did okay in this matchup. It was my first time playing against Blue Steel ever, because when Blue Steel was a menace in core last format, no one at my shop played it. And so, or I never played against them as they were playing it. So it was my first time playing against like the Hiram Force Sphere Paw deck. And so it was very interesting. And again, I feel like I like had an okay start. It was just slow. Game 2, I had double friends off of Belle, and I won off of a goat, Merlin goat. They had a Cogsworth. Nope. Cog. There we go. I think I just did Cogworth. And so they had 2 of these in play, which was really crazy. So they play nothing that you can shift it on, but it has ward, and then it gives your other characters resist. And so it was like very challenging to navigate that one. But we're able to get through. And then game 3, this also doesn't have, I think they were playing, this Alice as well, that like has ward, and then you can use it to quest, give someone an extra lore, and then give them ward. And so for this one, I had an awkward start, and I think I had Ursula into the Unknown in hand for like a huge chunk of the game, and I just needed my opponent to not full send. and I was so far behind that they were just, or like not so far, but I was far behind, and so they were not, or they were able to full send a lot. I think they might have had a single Cogsworth out, and so I could just never get the Ursula into the unknown. I said my notes say I have a delayed paw, so like I didn't have it on turn 1. And so I eventually found one, and then I never drew an Into the Unknown. On the final turn, I needed to clear 4 characters, but could only get 3 without Into the Unknown. And so like I was definitely close. And again, for my first time playing against this deck, and then for also like really being like the first match that I ever actually played with Blurple, like obviously would have loved to win, but like there's a reason that this deck is like top of the meta for Infinity. And so not exactly upset about losing there. And so starting off 0-1, there's 6 more rounds to go. So we're ready. And so in this next one, I played against Blue Steel again. This one was like a very different Blue Steel deck. So like they had some of the items, but like I don't think they were playing Tamatoas. They were playing the Alices. And then in game 1, there was a turn where like my opponent was torn on if they should quest or not. They ended up questing, which was the wrong choice. And I was able to basically like clear their board. And then like they were at like a high amount of lore, but they were basically able to just like never get there past that. Oh, I think what it was is they had an Alice in play, but no other characters. And so they quested with Alice. But if they would have held Alice and then played another character the next turn, quested with Alice, given the other character ward, I then couldn't have answered the other character, and I think they would have been able to get the win. But they didn't do that. They aggressively quested, and I was able to take them out. Game 2, they got stuck on Inkables. Like, again, this is not their list. They're playing a different one. But they just kind of got stuck, and I was able to get ahead. And so we were able to get the win. We're 1-1 on the day. And so the next round, we went up against one of the old pillars of Lorcana, of Steel Song. And so this deck is crazy. So it uses, you have a lot of princess and queen synergy just kind of by accident. But there's some crazy stuff that you can do with this deck. And so like I never saw the queens in specific from them. I also was like never like looking through their discards. So it's possible that they discarded stuff, but like Aurora into the queen, into the other queen. You also have Rapunzel, who's like one of the like best in class cards in Lorcana, where like this heals you and you draw up to 3 cards based on how much you healed, and there's no other card that like heals and draws like that, and so Rapunzel is just insane. And then like Aerial Sonic Warrior is super good. When you play a song, you can pay 2 and deal 3 damage to chosen character, and then you just play a bajillion songs. And so game 1, one of the challenges of this deck for Blurple is because we also draw a lot of cards, it's possible for us to run out of cards in our deck. And they play a card called A Whole New World. So each player discards their hand and draws 7 cards. So usually this is bad, but Blurple tends to have a decent number of cards in their hand. And so like this can make you like discard 5 cards that you've been like setting up to play. And sure, yeah, you get 7 back, which can be a problem, but then it's also very reasonable for this deck that like you can just legitimately run out of cards, and if you would draw, you lose the game, or if you can't draw, you lose the game. And so in game 1, we had a very back and forth game. I was able to like get to like win on board for my next turn. Went to my opponent's turn. I picked up my deck And she goes, oh yeah, I was about to ask, how many cards do you have? And I had 13 cards in my deck, and she'd already Whole New Worlds me twice. And so I think she inked, played the third Whole New World. I drew 7 new cards. If she would have hit the 4th Whole New World, that she would have won. Was not able to. And so I was able to go up 1-0 in the match. And then in game 2, she got stuck on 3 ink for a really long time. I think she had like Prince Naveen in hand and some other stuff. And this is why I don't think she was playing the queens, because like those are inkable, and like I feel like her inkable count must have been much higher than 14 just based on where she was. She eventually hit like a Strength of the Raging Fire that she had to ink. Yeah, so she just had a very slow start. This was when I learned an important lesson about myself, which is I will not win the game if it means I can take game actions. Had I known how long I had, I definitely should have just like tried to aggro her out to win the game. I did not do that. I was over here. I think I like turn 3 Kita'd, and then I was just over here like derping around, activating Kitas, singing how far I'll go. Like, I think at one point she was at like 3 ink and I was at 11. Like, I just had so much going on my side of the board. And it was definitely something where if I would have known that I would have had like 4 turns to win the game, I should have played very differently. But it was a very brutal draw, and they just kind of got stuck on low inkable counts. Then game 4, I played Amber Steel Aggro. So very similar deck, but the big difference here is that the only songs that they play are the removal songs. So whereas Steel Song plays Naveen and Whole New World, Amber Steel Aggro doesn't play that. And then sometimes, like, I think my opponent's list actually played Seven Dwarves Mine. Let me see. Mine. So this one, once during your turn, the first time you move a character heal, you can deal 1 damage to a character. If the character you moved is a knight, deal 2 damage instead. And most importantly, Doc is a knight. And so this was a matchup that I was very familiar with from the previous format, both Steel Song and Amber Steel Aggro. My note for game 1 says, game 1, card draw, and kept his characters chill. And so most likely what that means is like locked him behind Bell and stuff like that, was able to draw cards with singing. Game 2, I ramped him to 11 ink, and because of that, he went super wide. So that was very brutal. They were kind of just able to get ahead. I think they had a really good Rapunzel. And then I think he had ended up getting like a lady into a dock into like some other really big cards and went wide. Game 3, we had a judge call, mostly on a mistake of mine, where they had a Rhino Power Hamster, which if it has no damage on it, has resist 2. Then they had played a Penny, which when you play it, you can heal a character and then give them resist 1. And so then on mine, I had played a Bell, moved a damage to the Rhino, then went to challenge it with Genie, and was like, oh wait, don't want to do that. It has resist because of Penny. So I couldn't kill it. So we called the judge over. I was wanting to roll back the Bell damage. And I thought that because I never took my hand off the piece on the Genie, that wouldn't be a thing. But because I had said the sentence of challenge with Genie, they let me not throw my Genie away. They were able to roll that action back, but I was not able to get my Bell damage back, which is fine. Shout out to the judge doing hard work. And so I ended up singing I used Genie to sing Into the Unknown on the Shifted Rhino, so I gave them 2 ink again. And so, because I had wanted to move the damage to a Lawrence so that it wouldn't have 4 strength. And so, that didn't work out. And so, the next turn, they were able to kind of just make some general progress. And then I was able to like send a 5-drop Elsa at Lawrence so that she lived and broke the shield. And then like, I think I maybe like moved damage with, no, I didn't play another bell. But I was able to like clear their board, and then like won the next turn. And so, it was like a judge call that was kind of for like, well, what is the right thing to do here? And ended up being that like, even with like the misplay on my part, was able to close it out, and it ended up like not being hugely significant. And so, so I'm 3-1 now. Round 4, I played against another, blue steel deck. This one was playing, it's a bell. They were playing this bell, which I had never seen before. So once during your turn, you can put an additional card from your hand into your inkwell face down. So you can ink 2 cards instead of 1. And then if you have 10 cards in your inkwell, she quests for 5 instead of questing for 1. And so that was kind of their spice. They were playing 2 of them because they eventually quested or inked both of them and told me that I didn't have to worry about it anymore. And so, so game 1, they crushed me with triple Tamatoa, and they just like had so much value. Like I think they established double Chicha plus Fishbone Quill plus Tamatoa. Happy as a clam, like 3 of them back to back. And so like with that, they were just able to like keep their hand super full with constantly replaying Fortispheres and Possicles. Chicha was like drawing them back cards if they ever ramped. And so they were just able to like basically go up and just get way past me in value. Game 2 is the one where they bricked. I think this is where they had to ink both bells. And they just I think never drew any of the items. Like until like turn 6 or 7, I think was when they finally saw Fortisphere or Possicle. And so like that was crazy. And then in game 3, we were both top decking. I think they might have had like 1 character on board and I had like a Hades on board, or I had some other character on board. And they top decked like 3 bad cards in a row, and I top decked 3 Hades in a row. And so like they played a character, I Hades'd it. They had like a card they had to keep up. They drew like a Fire of the Cannons. I played in their Hades their character, quested out with mine. And then they drew like a Strength of the Raging Fire with no characters in play. Like, and then eventually they like drew a character, played it. I played the 3rd Hades. They like had like strength to me for fun basically. And so was able to get through. And like I said, this deck is brutal to play against. I definitely like am going to be testing this deck for, if I'm able to go to the DLC Indy, cause this deck is crazy. There's also a chance that like we as Blurple should be playing some of this other, like, should be playing like Quills and Chichas or something like that. And so I'd be curious about testing that as well. And so game 6, I played against, not that one. I played against Amethyst Steel. And so, this deck is super fun. I really liked this matchup. I had a super cool opponent. On game 1, I missed ramp and didn't catch up. I think I mulled 7, missed it, and I didn't hit paw. Game 2, I did the thing. And so I was basically able to just keep them off. Again, you want like kind of similar to the core version of this deck. You want to just keep them off of like Surprise Giant Cobra, the White Rose, and then just control the skies. And so like Elsa is a problem. Yzma's a problem. Big Tink is a problem because they get to play this like evasive Tink. And so that makes it so they can ramp this out. And then I think they were playing, they might have been playing Iagos because I think I inked something and then, oh no, man, I must be thinking of one of the other, I must be thinking of one of the core ones because I think I inked a Hypnotic, which is not in my Infinity deck. So game 3, I was able to get to win on board. They had double Diablo, White Rose in play, and then like something else, maybe it was an Yzma or something. And I took out the 2 Quester, and like I had done the math, and if they played Madam Mim Snake, which is not in this version. Interesting. Madam Mim. This one. And so when you play this, you return a character to your hand. And so they had White Rose in play, and so they could, if they quested out and played Snake, bounced White Rose, and replayed it, they would be at 19. And they had 1 card in hand. And in my head, I said, okay, don't challenge the Diablos because that will give them more cards. Which is true, but I had a Into the Unknown in hand. And so like, there's no reason that I shouldn't have Into the Unknown the Diablo. And so from there, they top decked, they had 1 card in hand and then they drew for turn and they ended up getting Snake and another White Rose, which was the exact 2 cards that they needed to win the game. Had it been any other 2 cards, it would not have worked because they had like that exact amount of ink to like play the other White Rose, play Snake, bounce it to the hand, replay it. Had it been Goat, that I think actually technically would have gotten them there, right? Because that's 2, said 8 ink. Yeah. So I guess Goat would have won it as well. And so they took it at 19, they took it while I had game on board, off of the misplay of not Into the Unknowning, one of the White Roses or one of the Diablos. And so you live, you learn. I literally had no reason not to do that. I think I just got in my head that don't challenge the Diablo. And so I just defaulted to don't get rid of the Diablo. And so that was a big mistake. We're now 4-2 on the day at the end of round, end of round 6. Then round 7, we played against, Amethyst Emerald Tempo. And so this is like Cursed Merfolk, Diablos are back, Pegasus, Go-Go Tamago, Madam Mim Skater, Deceiver, Ursula Deceiver, Kit, like Fox, Crab, like this is like the Genie of the Lamp, which is really cool. So when this character is exerted, your other characters get +2 strength. That's just like a passive like anthem for them, which is crazy cool. Iagos, like lots of evasives. I think she was playing one of these Ursulas. Again, super cool opponent. So game 1, I battled through 3 Cursed Merfolks to get the win, which is crazy because this just like eats down on your cards in hand. Like thankfully there's not a lot of other discards in this deck, but I battled through all of that. And then game 2, I kept a super undisciplined mulligan. And like, I knew in the moment that like, this is probably a bad mulligan and this is probably going to bite me in the butt. And sure enough, that's exactly what happened. I kept Bell, Apprentice Artificer, and I kept Possicle and I kept Friends on the Other Side in hand. So those are I mulliganed the other 5 cards. I needed to hit Ramp or Possicle, and I hit neither of them. And so I ended up bricking there on both Ramp and Paw. So like what could have was a super risky, super undisciplined keep, and could have been a really good hand, ended up just being garbage. And she just kind of ran away from me in that one. And then Frozen Night, how's it going? We're having story time, Frozen. And so in game 3, again, another super close, lots of back and forth. She played some stuff, and I was able to get to win on board. And I had quested with a character, and she had never played the game. Completely understandable. I highly recommend you check out Lorcana. It is super fun. I hope you're having a great one, and it's a super good scene if you can find one in your area. And so I think I had a Bell Accomplished Mystic in play. None of my characters had damage on them. And she had exactly 8 ink in play. And then she had it might have been a Peter Pan Shadow Finder. It was one of the 2 strength characters. Maybe it was a kit. And so my Bell was exerted, and they were able to suicide and just throw away their character into my Bell. And then the 2 cards that she had in hand were 2 Go-Go Tamagos, that when you play this, you can pay an extra 2 to gain lore equal to the damage on chosen opposing character. And they were 4 away from winning. And so they were able to use all 8 of their ink and get there off of throwing away one of their characters, which was super cool. It was a very good play. And so we ended 4-3. And so it was a very interesting match. Very cool opponent. This is a very spicy list. Also, relatively speaking, budget list for people that are looking to get into Lorcana with what is it? Genie is what's this? $24 out of the value. And then Go-Go's are a couple bucks. Iagos are a couple bucks. And then some other random stuff. And so really cool budget list. And yeah, so it was very cool, very interesting to see. It was my first time playing against this style of deck. And again, having a cool opponent always helps. I believe they were from Nashville. So we ended 4-3 in both, day 1 and day 2. And then, for this, I ended 244th, out of, 700-ish players. And so, got some tickets, and again, overall happy with how the deck performed, considering again, I'd done literally no testing, and, I hadn't even I'd brought cards to play it just in case, but considering I hadn't even anticipated that I was going to be playing this deck, when it came to this tournament. And so was very happy with how well things worked. Some changes that I would make. I don't think I would play 4 Dumbos. I played them because I had them from my core deck. I don't think this deck needs it. And then I would either be looking at a third How Far I'll Go. Like I said, this Ursula was supposed to be another How Far I'll Go. McDuck Manor. I had a game. It was a game 2 against my 3rd Blue Steel opponent, where I could have landed a McDuck Manor on turn 3 and potentially run away with it, but I was very scared, and so I didn't do that. Hindsight, I think I developed in a different way, but hindsight, that would have been a really good play. And then, although maybe this should just be some other inkable, I don't know. I like having 1 or 2 locations just because it gives you an alternate avenue. And these are inkable, so it's not a huge problem. I'd probably play another Bell as well. I think having a 3rd Bell would be great, just because you can shift in this deck, whereas you can't in core. Like you just don't have other bells. And so, yeah, so potentially like -2 Dumbos, +1 bell, +1 how far I'll go, like something like that. And then since we don't have like other removal songs, like those I think would also be a priority. I could also see, is it Ice Spike? No. It's boom, boom. Let me find it. Type item. Ice Space Spikes. I could also see playing like a 1 of or 2 of this. So when you play this item, exert chosen opposing character, and then you can pay 1, exert it, and exert chosen opposing item. It can't ready at the start of their next turn. And so you can use this against the blue still decks to lock down their lucky dime if they play it out early, or you can lock down their fishbone quill if you have an extra ink. And then you can also use this to banish for Bell. And so, but it's a 2-cost item, so like it doesn't fit into your curve as well as Popsicle does. But I could see that potentially being something. We'll talk about Junior Woodchuck's guide as well, but like maybe even just like another item like that draws you more cards, I could see being pretty good. And so, yeah, so overall happy. Definitely some play testing if I'm going to end up taking this more and not play like Blue Steel or something like that in major events. And so, this is also my first time playing Blurple with both Tamatoa and Hades, because I wasn't, like Tamatoas used to be even more expensive. And so I was holding off on getting them. And so, yeah, that felt good. Play the really good cards that I hadn't had a chance to play. And so definitely a huge fan of that. And so that ended my constructed life at DLC Milwaukee. Again, ending up like 580 in the core event, 244 in the Infinity side event. It's also crazy that like the side event of this tournament was also like my second largest tournament that I've ever played in. And so it was kind of funny just how that worked out, but that was really cool. And so that is our tournament game review. Let's go pop over to chatting real quick. So like I said, this was my first time traveling for a tournament. It was my first time flying for a tournament. Maybe that's another way to say that. Like the first time I'd ever like really gone out of state for something. And so it was very cool. I had a little bit of a walk to the convention center from my hotel. It was like a mile. It was really cool. It was in Milwaukee, so it was very cold in the mornings, like cold and windy. And so it definitely helped like wake me up. And so I would get to the tournament alert. And then this was the first DLC that was run by Pastimes, to my knowledge. And there is definitely some stuff I wish would have gone better with that. No knocks here to like individuals, because like on a people level, I feel like everyone did great. I wish they would have had better tools. And so one of the challenges that we had a lot of times felt like staff not necessarily being like allocated correctly. So like there would be times where we would have like a huge line that would take like an hour, and there were like 6 people like working that line. Or there'd be times where we would go and have to get through to go get our tickets after winning them, and we couldn't do that because the line took crazy long. Or like this wasn't as pertinent for me because I was playing in the Infinity event for all day on Sunday, but a friend of mine was trying to play side events and she couldn't because the line was too long. And so I know there were some other people that I talked to about this that kind of had a like, I would like to give you more money to do more side events, and they couldn't because of how the staff was. And so an example of that was to get our Mulans on day 1 after we get our 3 wins. They told us that they didn't want us to go get the Mulans until we were dropping out. And so where really what you should have done is just have someone there to help give out the Mulans throughout the day. And so what that led to was there was like constantly long lines trying to get stuff done. And so like there was one person or two people that could help us get our Mulans because they had to have access to like a specific spreadsheet of who got 3 wins and stuff, and then to track that on. And so like while there was a huge line of us trying to get our Mulans, there were like 5 people that were working the prize table doing nothing because everyone was in line to get their Mulans. And so stuff like that, I would like to see them streamline. There's also some stuff, again, some of this is secondhand from my friends, but like, I guess at other DLCs, what you could do is you could sign up and you could basically pay at once for multiple side events and then get like a token that you could use for those events. This one, they didn't do that. So if you wanted to play Pack Rush, which is like everybody gets 2 booster packs, you play with those. Whoever wins gets more tickets. Whoever loses gets some, but less tickets. If you wanted to do that, it was like a 30-minute line to go through to play Lorcana for like 15 minutes to then go back and get in line to get it another like sign up. And then like it was just like super slow with that. And so my hope is that they'll streamline some of that for the upcoming events, for Richmond and for Indy. And then, I just, again, overall would like to see them just be able to have things run a little smoother when it comes to those things. And then like the Ravensburger app that we use for the tournament is like spotty also. And I feel like that definitely didn't help because that was kind of leading to like there being a lot of lag because they would post the round and then it would take people so long to figure out what table that they were at that like it then took the round longer to start because the app wasn't working. So people would have to go to the paper pairings that judges were having to walk out and like physically post. And so like just things like that, I feel like exasperated a lot of the challenges. And I would like to have seen those be more streamlined. And again, this is not like a knock on any of the individual staff. I feel like the staff all did great and were super kind from my interactions with them. And so I would just like to see a lot of that streamline and be more efficient for future tournaments. They gave us 60 minutes per round in the core event, and then it was 50 for Infinity. And then in both of those events, we were going 20 minutes over round every round while people were playing or having extensions and stuff like that. And so like, and then like it would then take another like 10-ish minutes to get everyone like to their tables to figure out where they are and stuff like that. And so that was kind of frustrating just to like, there was so much dead time that like, I really wish we would not have had to deal with. And like, again, this is like my only big Lorcana tournament like this, but like, I don't feel like this happened at like the SCG event that I went to. Like, I feel like when I was playing in that big Magic event, like, I don't know how many people it was. I don't remember, but like, I don't remember it being this crazy and taking this long. And so I hope that there's going to be a way for us to kind of, again, just be more efficient when it comes to these and like allocating people differently. Like, I had some other friends that ran into a problem where like they couldn't get the tickets for the event that they'd done well in because the event hadn't closed in the app, but the event was over. And so like they had to call like one of the head people running the event to figure out what they could do and just stuff like that, where it was like, the event is done. Like, can we like just get these people their tickets and stuff like that? So would like to see them streamline some of that going forward. But again, who knows? I doubt I'll be going to Richmond just because of other stuff that is going on. But I do plan on at least trying to go to the next or the next DLC after that, just to have a good time and get to spend more time with people. And again, I do want to shout out our DFW group. We had a really good group of like 20 to 30 people from DFW that went. We had a handful that made day 2, which was also really exciting. And so shout out to all of that, all of those groups and stuff. So, but yeah, so that was our game and kind of general overview. Let's go back to Dreamborn. We're going to take a look at some of the set 10 cards and kind of chat through. I do want to also, this is my deck that I'm currently sitting on. We'll see where this ends up. But this is where we're at right now with the one I've been messing around with. And so we're playing Rafiki, Tipo, Dumbo, Genie, Mim are all staying. Our bells are staying. And then I cut a single Hypnotic Strength and a single Develop. So we're at 3 of both of those. And then, yeah, so for new cards, we're adding in Minnie Mouse Amethyst Champion. That when one of your Amethyst characters is banished, you can draw a card. She also quests for 2. We're adding in Cinderella at the start of your or at the end of your turn. If you played a princess, you can ink a card from your hand and draw a card. There's Demona from Gargoyles. That when you play this character, you exert all opposing characters, and then each player with fewer than 3 cards in hand draws until they have 3. And then if you have 3 or more cards in hand, this character can't ready. Quest for 2. She's a 5/6. And then Spooky Sight, which I keep wanting to call Sudden Sight. There's a card called Sudden Chill, and I feel like I'm just confusing that in my head for some reason. But this puts all characters with cost 3 or less into their player's inkwell face down. And then we're playing Junior Woodchuck's Guide. This is I don't want to play Second Star anymore, and this is an inkable way of drawing cards. And so this is where we're at right now. And so we'll see where this color combo lands out. It's possible that we want to be playing more items and we want to go back to just playing Tamatoas and like, let's go. That would make me happy. From my admittedly very little like playtesting and messing around with the deck, I could also see not wanting to play 4 Demonas. And like potentially going up to a 4th Bell or something. And so just because like a lot of times I feel like there's better or other cards that I would rather play. Even if that's just like a 4-drop and a 2-drop or something. So yeah, so this is where we're at, for right now. And so let's take a look at some stuff. We're going to start looking at them from a rarity perspective. We're going to look at our legendaries, super rares, and rares, and just kind of talk through those as we go. And then we'll talk about some other cards as can we sort by rarity? No, sort by color. Okay. So, we got Baloo, Bodyguard, and Support, 3/8. One of the things that I feel like is a struggle in Lorcana is like, there's a lot of really good cards that are too expensive for how the color likes to play. So like Amber almost never like gets to a high lore count. So characters like Baloo are very hard to play. It's possible that we'll be seeing an Amber Sapphire list. Cause there's one that's kind of already going around and was doing well at a tournament in Tacoma this weekend. So it's possible that we'll see that kind of get to become a bigger thing. But like, I feel like cards like that are just so hard because that's so just not what, this color typically does. Then we have Rapunzel. She's a 1/2 with support, and then says whenever one of your characters is chosen for support until the start of your next turn, the next time that character would be dealt damage, they take no damage instead. And so this is super cool. I'm very curious to how this card is going to play out. I feel like this was designed so that you could support, power up a card, and then battle in and take no damage on the challenge. But this also just works really well defensively. Like it puts like a defensive bubble on a character. And so, yeah, I feel like that's could be very strong. We also have Sebastian. He's a 1/1, quests for 3. Like there's like a hyper aggro version. I could see this being a thing. I think this deck will struggle just on the back of like, they're a 1/1 that quests for 3. And so I feel like a lot of times you're going to just get got. We have Ariel, and we have she's also the iconic for this set, which looks super cool. And this is also one of our new mechanics, which is boost. And so characters have boost in, and And so once during your turn, you can pay 1 for in Ariel's case and put the top card of your deck face down under the character. You do not get to know what that card is. And then once during your turn, when you play this song, if there's a card under this character, you can draw a card. And so that's super cool. And then once the card is under them, they're treated as like one thing as far as the game is concerned. So like if Ariel gets banished, the card under her goes to the discard as well. If Ariel gets bounced to hand, the card under Ariel goes back to your hand. And so really interesting. If we get a like Steel Song deck back, we'll talk a little bit about that later. I assume once we get to Steel, like I think we could see this card becoming a thing, just because play her on turn 4, on turn 5 you activate the ability, and then you like start drawing a card and then use her to sing a song, and you draw a card to replace the song that you boosted. And so then from there, you already have your value, and it's just keeping that up. Also, she is a princess, so she goes great with Aurora that we have already. That just reduces her cost, so you could play her on turn 3. Scrooge is a shift for 7. For shift for 4, it costs 6. When you play a character or location with boost, you may put the top card of your deck face down under them. Cool boost payoff. I doubt that will have enough boosts. Like I doubt there will be a boost deck that will want to play Scrooge. We finally have Mowgli. When you play this character, chosen opponent reveals their hand and discards a non-character card of their choice. So this is a discard, makes them discard a non-character. They get to choose though. So like if they have 2, they're going to pick the one that's the most advantageous for them. So I think this card will see play. I don't know how much, just because you don't get the choice, your opponent does. And so it'll kind of depend on how many non-characters are seeing play in a lot of decks. So like I know like right now for Blurple, there's really only like 1 or 2 character cards that tend to be stuck in people's hands. And so it's really good because you can hit one of those cards. But like if there's more choices, like it's not going to be as strong. Simba is another boost. And then when you put a card under them, you can reveal the top card of your deck. If it's a character, you can play them for free and they interplay exerted. Otherwise, put it at the bottom. There used to be, I think it was with a Mufasa, that when it died or when it was banished, you could reveal the top card if it's a character, you put it into play. And there were like 60 character decks built around that card. I could see you doing something like that with this, where just like, again, you play this with Sapphire so that you can ramp. You play this card out, and then like on the next turn, you just like double boost, get 2 characters for free and hope they're decent. Like it's probably too Christmas landy, but we'll come back to Mickey. We then got, we'll talk about all the champions at once. We then got Goof, shift 5. When you play this character and whenever they quest, each opposing character gets -1 strength until the start of your next turn. So that's pretty cool. Like problem again being that like he's a 5-drop in Amber, but he does quest for 3. So like, again, if you can get there and reasonably play Goofy, cool. We've got a Gazelle, Singer 7. When you play this character, you can put a song from your discard on top of your deck. So you set up your next draw, and then presumably since they have Singer 7, you are probably going to be playing that song or singing that song on your next turn. Probably too slow for just like a 5 uninkable. The Horseman strikes, because we get Ichabod Crane and Headless Horseman coming in. And so when you play this, you can draw a card and then you can banish chosen character with evasive. So like gets rid of Dumbo, gets rid of Genies, get rid of Elsa's. You already would have, like, it would answer evasives or illusions as well, but it gets rid of Iago. And so, yeah, probably will be one of the most played cards in the deck from the set, just as like a tech card of like most Amber decks will probably play 2 of them. It's inkable. Yeah, cool stuff. Black Cauldron, 3-drop item. You can pay 1 and an ink to put a character from your discard under this item face up. And then you can pay 1 and exert it. For this turn, you can play characters from under this item. So basically, like, every turn, you're, like, racking up more characters under the cauldron. And then eventually you can say, cool, my cauldron is now a second hand. I'm going to use this turn to play like 3 or 4 characters from under it. Probably too slow. Like, but it's really cool. It's a card that I could see either be broken or seen no play. It's going to be one of the two. Like, there's no middle ground, IMO. We get some items again with Duckburg. When a character quests while here, you can pay 2 less for the next character you play this turn. It's a 2-drop location, 2 to move. But then you would move a character there and quest with them. And then you kind of get that 2 ink back, in a sense, because the next character is cheaper. Cool. Doesn't give you lore, though. So I can see that being a challenge there. The Horned King is getting 2 cards for our Black Cauldron. There's a third one. Horned King. And so, So there's a 1-drop. That's just a 2/1. And then we got, or just a 2/2. And then we got our shift 1. So shift on 2. And then whenever one of your characters is banished in a challenge, you can return that card to your hand, then choose and discard a card. So, interesting. Like, shift 2s are really powerful because, like, this is effectively like a singer 4, and there's a lot of 4-drop songs that you can sing. And so, like, even if you never really use that second ability, like this is part of what makes Rhino so strong. Granted, Rhino also has resist, but like the fact that you can like use this, sing a song to remove something, and then now you just have a 2 quester for the rest of the game is pretty cool. And then the other Horned King is during your turn. If 1 or more cards left a player's discard this turn, this character can quest for 2 more, so quest for 3. So obviously works well with this Horned King, works well with the Cauldron. And so probably too gimmicky. Creeper is a big vanilla, quest for 4, unplayable probably, just because it's a 6-drop, and is vanilla. Then we have Cold Stone for our Gargoyle cards. When you play this character, if you have 2 or more Gargoyle cards in your discard, gain 2 lore. That's cute. Probably not good enough, I would expect. Like, you just have to have your Gargoyles in your discard, though. So, like, I could see it seeing some, like, if there's, like, a Gargoyle deck, I could see that being a thing. I think Gargoyles are mainly Steel and Ruby, and then there's a handful in Amethyst, but this card is at least a Gargoyle. So, like, if you're playing this in Steel, where you're, like, playing Mulan, you could discard a Cold Stone, then you already have 1 Gargoyle in your discard. So, like, that's pretty cool. And then kind of, like, the fact that you don't, like, you can set up your discard ahead of time to then pay off with the lore could be really cool. Although, Cobra being an inkable card that gets you lore, whereas this is an uninkable and is more expensive. Next up, we got Magicka Dispel. Whenever you put a card under one of your characters or locations, you may move 1 damage from chosen character to chosen opposing character. Probably too slow. Like, you need to, like, have this in play and be able to boost something and have damage that you want to move. Probably too slow. Then here we got another Magicka. She's a 7 that shifts for 7. So usually shift is 2 cheaper than the normal cost. This one is the same value. So when you play this character, if you used shift to play her, you can draw 4 cards. Probably unplayable. Like, you need, like, to have a you need to have a Magicka that you want to play, and then be wanting to shift this on 5 or on 7, I mean, to then just draw 4 cards. Like, it feels like that's probably not good enough. Like, and so, like, you have this one that shuffles a card from an opponent's discard. You have the one that we just talked about. Then you have, like, an evasive one that bounces a character. Like, then during your turn, discard 1 or more cards. You don't. Like, cool, but, like, probably not a big thing. And then that one's vanilla. This one's not legal in core. And then this one's not legal in core. Yeah. So like just probably not playable. Really interesting effect, but it's probably just too much to just get 4 cards. You'd probably rather just play other stuff to get that. And so Demona, we talked about very briefly, is a card that I'm interested in. She's a 6 ink 5/6, a quest for 2. Whenever you play this character, exert all opposing characters, then a player with fewer than 3 cards in hand draws until they have 3. And then a lot of the gargoyles have this ability called Stone by Day. If you have 3 or more cards in your hand, this character can't ready. And so I think this card's going to be super good. I think it's going to be better in the Amethyst Steel lists, because that list tends to have fewer cards in hand. Whereas a lot of times in Blurple, like exerting your opponent's characters is great. And like I said, I currently have 4 of her in my list. We'll see if it stays that way. But like Blurple tends to have more cards in hand. So like it's harder to set up the draw a bunch of cards. And so a lot of times you'll be giving your opponent's cards, which is bad. And so, especially in Blurple where you're already giving your opponent ink. So like you're giving them ink and now you're giving them cards. Next up we have Hades, Looking for a Deal. Whenever you play this character, you can choose an opposing character. If you do, draw draw 2 cards unless that character's player puts that card on the bottom of their deck. So it's either get rid of one of their characters or draw 2, but your opponent chooses. So I think realistically, this is a 5 ink draw 2. And that then quests for 1. I think you're getting the cards here like 90% of the time, which I think is fine. Like 5 ink draw 2. Again, compare this to the 7 ink draw 4. Like I think you're very, very rarely removing a character with this card. And so I'm curious about if that's going to see a spot just off the back of, again, drawing 2. But I think it's going to end up being too slow because you're going to need to remove characters, and that's just going to not work. Ursula, Whisper of Vanessa, 5 ink 4/5. She has boost 1. And then there's a card under her. She quests for an extra 1 and has evasive. So she quests for 3 total. I really like this card. This is a card that I'm considering kind of in the Demona spot as well for my list. Just because like you can play this instead of TikTok. And they're both like a 6 ink evasive basically. Since Ursula, you would have to boost. But then Ursula is better at questing, whereas TikTok is better at challenging. But Ursula still hits. She still has 4 strength, so she still hits Dumbo. She still hits Genie, which is one of the big things that TikTok did. So I could see Ursula seeing play, and then she's better once you turn the corner and start questing out. Cheshire Cat, I really like this card as well. A 3 ink with boost 2, and then you can pay 2 to get a card under them, and whenever you put a card under them, you can move 2 damage from chosen character to chosen opposing character. And so at its base, it's Bell. Like Bell moves 3 instead of 2, but Bell isn't repeatable. And whereas Cheshire Cat is, so you could play this on 3, and then you could like theoretically boost twice on the next turn. Like you could challenge in with it and then boost, and move all of the damage to other characters since it could hold 3 damage. And then putting cards under Cheshire Cat is really cool because the list plays Madam Mim Elephant. So then usually if there's a card under it, it's going to get banished. Those cards are going to go to the discard. But you could bounce Cheshire Cat back to your hand, get the cards that you've boosted back, and then now it kind of has... It's turned this like boost 2 into like eventually draw 3. Oh, and I'm realizing it's like right behind me. It's like eventually draw 2 or eventually draw 1. And so I think that could be cool. Next up, Can't Hold Me Back Anymore. So it's a 4-drop song. Exert chosen opposing character. Then you move all damage from all other characters to them. Cool. If this was singable, I think this would be a different story. But like the fact, or if it was inkable, I mean, it is singable because it's a song. But yeah, because this is a 4-drop song that you need damage in play, and then you need to have a character you want to exert, like, I feel like that's going to be a challenge, because typically you want to exert the character and then challenge into it, whereas like this will exert them and then move damage and hopefully get rid of them. So I'm curious about this one. It seems like it's missing something IMO, but maybe I'm crazy. Lil Hacks, welcome in. Oh, you got the Tyranitar Lavatar gif. Hope you're having a good one. Thank you so much for that follow. Next up, Grimorium, Arcanium, whatever. Reading is hard. During your turn, whenever an opposing character becomes exerted, gain a lore. Yes, Larvitar Tyranitar is my favorite Pokemon line, and so yeah. So whenever an opposing character becomes exerted, gain 1 lore, and then opposing characters named Demona have Rush. So this is super cool. Like, again, works out great with Demona of like, one of the big things that this card doesn't do is a 5/6 that exerts characters, then doesn't do anything because she doesn't have Rush. So like giving her Rush feels really cool. And then the fact that like if you exert 4 characters with her, you gain 4 lore. Like, that does seem pretty cool. And then also like obviously works with Elsa. There's what's a 10 cost? A Taka. There we go. That during your turn, when whenever an opposing character is exerted, banish them. So like you could combo with that. I think there's another character that like exerts all opposing characters when you play them. It's probably another Taka. Am I crazy? It looks like I am, but I feel like there's another character that that exerts all characters your opponent controls. And so, super interesting. Got this thing. I don't know what this is from, but they're an alien. Cool. Baloo, Carefree Bear, 5 cost, shift 3. And Lolhax, what's your favorite Disney character? What's your favorite Disney movie? And for the rest of you in chat as well, hit me up. And so, yeah, so when you play them, you can choose one. Each player draws or each player discards. That's pretty cool. Like, it's a symmetrical discard or symmetrical draw that, like, I feel like if you're playing a discard deck, you're going to have plenty of stuff that you're happy to get rid of because, like, typically, like, once you get your opponent's hand low, like, the odds of them getting back to a high number of cards is so slim that, like, yeah, you have 1 card, I'll play this and get rid of it, and I'm happy to discard my other discard spell. So, Megara, they got boost, and then when there's a card under this character, she gains 1 ink, and whenever this character is challenged, each opponent chooses and discards a card. So she becomes like Cursed Merfolk, and then quests for 2. So that's pretty cool. Love them all, honestly. Encanto, it has a goated soundtrack. Yes, it does. The Encanto soundtrack is amazing. So yeah, I like Megara. And I think this is a cool, like, style, again, of, like, Cursed Merfolk is very good, and this is kind of, like, bigger Cursed Merfolk that like, can still quest for 2. So that's cool. And then I feel like you never quest with this card if they are not boosted, which they had in Encanto and Whispers. Yeah, we had Encanto in, like, set 8, right? But it's been really weird that we've now had multiple sets without them. So, Goldie, when you play this character, chosen opponent reveals their hand and discards a location card of your choice. That's probably too narrow, like, unless there's, like, a really good location deck. And then, when this character quests, you can put a location from chosen player's discard on the bottom of their deck to gain 1 lore. Probably too situational. Like, there would have to be, like, locations in, like, every deck that you would actually want to play this. And I guess you can use it to, like, put your own locations to gain lore, but that just seems not worth it. Shere Khan. Let's move this way. Make this a little bit easier to see these cards. Yeah. Okay. Evasive, 5/4, quest for 2. When this character quests, banish chosen opposing damaged character, then put 1 damage on chosen character. That's really cool. So like basically like you set up removing a character and then the next turn get to get rid of them, and then set up removing the next character. Feels kind of Winmore-y, but there's a lot of decks that are built around like moving damage. And so like if you can banish something with that very first on the hunt, like that seems pretty cool. Scrooge, 02, quest for 2. When you play this character, draw a card, then choose and discard a card. And then when this character is challenged, return them to your hand. No damage is dealt. So basically, like, you can quest with them. The opponent challenges, they come back to their hand. You can replay them, draw a card, discard a card, and then, like, it's slow, but, like, seems interesting. You would need to really want to filter or really have something that you want to use that effect on. We're going to come back to the champions. Lil Jon quests for 3 is a 4/5 for 6 with boost 3. And then whenever you put a card under him, ready him. So you can play Lil Jon for 6 ink. Then the next turn, quest for 3, put a card under him, quest for 3 more, then put a card under him, quest for 3 more, gain 9 lore. Like, that's pretty cool. Like the fact that like that the boost, it curves into the cost of the card, and like you can just quest for 9. We'll set to see how easy it would be to remove that character, and then like, but this could be something that like Baja wants to play as like a 2 of or something. I don't know. I'm not a Baja expert, but like this seems really good. Webby. Shift 2, and then she has ward, and then when they quest, if an opponent has more cards in their inkwell, you can put the top card into your inkwell face down and exerted. Very cool card. I like Webby a lot. I get to go ban a bot. Let's ban them. Okay. I really like Webby. I think Webby is super cool. The fact that it's, and this is kind of similar to what we discussed with Horn King. Like, shift on 2, that quest for 2 is just really powerful. And then, like, the fact that she has ward, and then, like, if you're on the draw, the fact that you can, like, quest with her, get an ink, or get an extra ink, and then ink for turn is really cool. I'm really interested. Love you some Webby gameplay. I'm super interested because there's a 1-drop Webby that when you play this character, chosen character gets 1 strength this turn. Then we have this one. I could really see these seen play in dogs, because like this helps power up your lady that power up this lady that if she has 3 strength, she quests for 2 more, and so like that makes it even easier to power that out. And then eventually you can just shift. Dogs already doesn't necessarily have a ton of ink, and so the fact that you can quest with her to just get some more incidental ink, any Emerald deck on the draw will be better with Webster. Yeah, 100% lols. Lol Hex. And then my favorite Disney movie, old school, is Aladdin. New school is Zootopia. And so those are my favorites. Trust in Me is a song. Chosen opposing character. Each opposing character gets -1 lore until the start of your next turn. Each opponent chooses and discards 2 cards. These modular cards are really good. Whereas like, so like compare this to Hades, where like on Hades, you don't get the choice, your opponent does. On this one, it's like, okay, does your opponent have a wide board? If yes, they quest for less. If no, they discard 2 cards. And so like, I could see this being really good in Baja. Just because you have that ability of like shift Baymax on 4 or on 3, sing Trust in Me against the aggro decks to buy yourself another turn. Again, or against Blurple or against Amethyst Steel, just eat 2 cards from their hand. It's a 6 cost uninkable song, so like shrug emoji there, but like, I think it's pretty cool. And then Potion of Malice, 1 and exert. It's a 3 cost, and then put a damage counter on chosen character. Importantly, put a damage counter is not dealing damage, so this gets around resist. So this like breaks Rhino's shield, and then also breaks Nala's shield, and then you can also exert it, banish it. Each opposing damaged character gains reckless, so they can't quest and they have to challenge if able. Pretty cool. Enigmatic Inkcaster, exert it. If you've put 2 or more played 2 more cards this turn, gain a lore. I love when we're getting stuff like this that are like from Lorcana. Like this isn't a normal Disney item. This is something for the world of Lorcana. I like that we get more of this stuff. I think this card's mid. Like, obviously if you can play 2 cards in a turn, cool. But like, you really need to like play this and then play a follow-up card to be able to activate it immediately. And again, maybe that's good enough in like something like Dogs as just like a way of eking out a little bit more ink. But I don't know. It seems not worth it for just 1 ink. White Agony Plains. 2 for, and then 1 to move. This location gets +1 lore for each character. Here, I think this card's super good. Like, if like this as a location deck seems really strong. Of like, you can play your other locations that have like gain lore every turn effects, and then you can play this and move characters here. And then like, okay, like, do you want to take out my characters here that I've quested? Or do you want to take out my other locations that are giving me lore? And then like, presumably they're not going to be able to do all of both of those things. And so I also think there's a good chance locations are really powerful in this next set. But it'll just be interesting to see if we just see like locations splattered in, a smattering of them. That's where I was going for. Or if we're going to see like true location decks. Diablo, Vanilla. Got David. During your turn, whenever one of your characters is banished, draw a card. So this is an offensive challenging card. And then whenever this character quests, chosen character gains rush this turn. So that's pretty cool. I realized I could just use this instead of having to scroll down all the way. That's pretty cool. I like David a lot. The fact that yes, you could theoretically be like throwing away a character when you challenge with rush, but like the fact that they replace themselves. Red Steel has been like super like on the fringe. But like I could see a card like David being really playable. And so next up, Hans. King and Queen characters can't quest at the start of your turn. If an opponent has 2 or more ready characters, gain 2 lore. Super cool. I like this card a lot. It's interesting that there's so many cards that like hate on characteristics, but like characteristic decks just have not been great. Like there's not a lot of great playable King and Queens, like unless you're like hitting the one player that's like happened to play a deck built around the Queen. Like, I think it's interesting that this is Kings and Queens, not Queens and Princesses. Just because Princess is obviously such a more powerful characteristic, but what do I know? Hercules. This character can't be dealt damage unless he's being challenged. So like you can't use songs that deal damage. Again, you can put damage on him. But when this character is exerted, your other hero characters can't be dealt damage unless they're being challenged. So like he gives that ability to your other characters. That's pretty cool. Again, like the Ruby Steel, aggressive deck has definitely been like, I just searched red instead of like the red Mulans. But like there's a lot of like Mulan Injured Soldier, like Mulan Elite Archer, Mulan Charging Ahead. There's like this Mulan as well that like none of the cards are necessarily good enough, but they're like just on the fringe of being a thing. And so a card like this, like that powers up your characters and like gives them like protection basically, could be good. That being said, he's a 5/3, so like goes down to a bunch of stuff if he's exerted, and like you just have to challenge into Hercules first, and then you can use your songs to take out everybody else. But I don't know. Yeah, Ruby Steel Mulan is like, yeah, the Mushu is sweet. Deanna played this for a while. But like, yeah, like this, like whenever you play another character, they gain Rush, Reckless, and Evasive this turn. Super cool. And then even this one, like give chosen character Rush, like this Mushu is really cool. Also, whenever one of your characters challenges, they gain Resist 2. And then during your turn, whenever one of your characters banishes another character in a challenge, gain 2 lore. Like this is so cool. And like, again, like the cards are super interesting. They just like never quite have been there. There's someone at the shop that I'm at that's playing like a Ruby Steel Challenger deck. And they're very excited for this, like these new cards. And so I'm excited to see what they're able to cook up. Alyssa Maza, when you have 2 or more other characters with 5 strength or more, this character quests for 2 more. So she quests for 3. So like if you can get 2 5 costs on turn 4 somehow, like, and she doesn't count herself. So like, even if you were to power her up to 5, she doesn't count as one of those because other characters. So seems cool if you can like do that. Gargoyle deck, I think is because they have Stone by Day, they have some really powerful strengths. So next we have Aladdin, boost 1, and he is Reckless. And then whenever this character has a card under them, your characters with Reckless can exert to gain 1 lore. And so like they don't quest because they can't because they're Reckless, but it gives them an out. And so we got a new Lady Tremaine, like another boost. Whenever this character quests, if you put a card under her this turn, you can play an action with cost 5 or less from your discard for free, then put that action in the bottom of your deck instead of into your discard. There's been a Ruby Steel Powerline deck that has been going around that's getting some cool stuff with this set. So it's possible that like this is good enough of like gets you back all of your songs, and then you can just get those for free in like an additional way. Like, I don't know if that's good enough. Also, Dragonfire is being reprinted, which is a 5 cost action that banishes a character. So like, it's possible that's good, although that's expensive to do that all in one turn. But Headless Horseman, I think this card is sweet. When you play this character, you can banish chosen character with 2 strength or less. Then during your turn, whenever an opposing character is banished, each of your character gets 1 strength. So pretty cool. Kind of like joking around with friends of like, it's like middle Sisu, because you have small Sisu that banishes a character with strength 1 or less. And then you have big Sisu that banishes all characters with strength 2 or less. So this hits 1 character 2 or less and is thus middle Sisu. So interesting. Sapphire Coil is still a legal card, and so you could definitely see a Ruby Sapphire deck come back that's all about like lowering strength and then using a character like this to take stuff out. They are just a 4/2, so they do get got by a lot of stuff, but this could be a good way of stabilizing against an aggro deck. Shere Khan, shift 5, 1, and then deal 1 damage to this character. Ready them. They can't quest for the rest of the turn. This is what I was talking about. And yes, this art is insane. And then the enchanted for them is so cool. Terror of Sleepy Hollow. They can't quest. So yeah, this is what I was talking about when I was going through the games of like misreading Raya. Of like, so yeah, you can like ready this character, but then they just can't quest, so they're good for challenging. So you can like quest for 2, and this is kind of the same play pattern as Monstro, where like you can quest for 2 with Monstro, discard a card, ready him, and then challenge in. And so you can do that here with Shere Khan, where like quest for 2, deal 1, pay 1, ready him, then challenge and take something out. That's pretty cool. Or you can just use this as a way of like getting like a 2-for-1. Yeah. Next stop, Olympus. If you have a character that costs 5 or more, or strength 5 or more in play, you can pay 2 less to play this action, so it becomes free, which is pretty cool. Writing chosen character, they can't quest for the rest of the turn. The next time they challenge another character this turn, gain 1 lore. So, yeah, that's really cool. The fact that it's like a free lore. If you use this on a Calhoun, like you have to pay for it, but like that Calhoun then like gets you 3 lore if they banish something. So that's really cool. Also works great in that Mulan deck that we were talking about. Get to safety. Play a location card with cost 3 or less from your discard for free. If you play a location named Sleepy Hollow, if you have a location named Sleepy Hollow in play, draw a card. So let's see, Sleepy Hollow, because I feel like that one. I feel that one's only an uncommon. So when a character quests while here, you may banish this location to gain 2 lore and then give them evasive. It's a 3-drop location, so it doesn't gain lore on its own. But like if you could play it, move a character there, and then quest, like you get rid of it and then gain 2 lore, and then ideally that character is protected, and then get to safety gets it back. I also think that the Sleepy Hollow part of this could just be a trap. Like the fact that this just gets you a location back from your discard for free. Like, yeah, it plays like the movie of like they're trying to get back to Sleepy Hollow. You can even see it in like the corner of the art. Like, I think that's super cool. Like if we go costs 3 or less, type, location, legality, core. So like what, there's 47 locations that are legal in core and cost 3 or less. Of course you can't play all of these and like you have to be playing red, but like the fact that you can get back the library, that just gets you a lore, like Elsa's Ice Palace, when you play this location, exert chosen character. While this location is in play, that character can't ready at the start of their turn. So like you can lock something down. We talked about the White Agony Plains earlier. I think that's super good. Hidden Cove like protects your stuff. Like there's some pretty cool locations like Agrabah, even just like that of like get this back. Cool. It quests for 2. And then like if you're like Ruby Steel, we'll talk about this one more specifically, but like, there's so much stuff that you can just get back that just gets you a lore. Like, I don't know. Like, I feel like that is very powerful just in the, like, get back your 7 Dwarves Mine. Like, I feel like there's a lot of strength in that card, just in, like, the toolboxness of it. And then our final one is for Ruby is the Bitterwood. At the start of your turn, whenever you move a character with 5 or more strength, here, draw a card. And then it's a 4 that costs 2 to move. So ideally you want a 3-drop with 5 strength so that you could play them and then move them. I think there is a gargoyle that fits that exact bill. But be very curious. I'm not going to remotely spell that correctly. Let me see. Let's go to Steel real quick. Because spelling is hard. Garg. Okay. I feel like that's what I did. Goyle. Okay, there we go. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Here. So Bronx is like the perfect example of like this lets you can play Bronx. On turn 5, move them here, immediately draw your card, and then you have like the effect ready to go. I think that's like the type of play that you need for that location to be really good. And then let's see, that's short. Yeah. So like, I feel like that's like the style of play. Of course, you can always like have a card out that's ready to go or move stuff over on a later turn. But I think that's like what you would want to try to set up. For that to really be crazy. Okay, Sapphire. Ichabod Crane. 4 ink for a 2/4, quest for 2. When this character quests, if you played a character with cost 5 or more this turn, put the top card of your deck into your inkwell face down and exerted. So like he ramps you when you play big stuff so that you can then play more big stuff. Probably not great. But Like, I feel like that's just too many things that have to happen. Judy Hopps. Maybe the best Zootopia card will finally not be Popsicle. And so, 6/4, quests for 2, has 6 ink, shift 4. During your turn, your defective characters gain alert and resist. Alert means they can challenge evasive characters, so it's reach. It's like offensive reach if you've played Magic. I mean, detectives would have to be a thing, which seems very unlikely. It only, like, it powers up your challenging. So, like, you have to be a detective deck that wants to challenge also, which seems not likely. The Sultan, a 1-drop, 1/1 that quests for 2. Cool. I think a lot of colors have a card like this. And so seeing just like aggressive questers is definitely something that like is very powerful. Obviously, this is very easy to get rid of since they're just a 1/1, similar to what we discussed with, I think, the Ruby card. That was a 1/1 that quests for 3. So Scar, when you put a card boost, when you put a card under them, chosen opposing character gets -5 strength. Really cool. Probably not good enough, but like really cool. Daisy, Paranormal Investigator. Let's go. This might be my card of the set. She's a 6/4/6 that quests for 2. She has support. And then when, can't see it. When this character is exerted, cards enter opponent's inkwells exerted. And so basically makes your opponent play from behind for the rest of the game, as long as like Daisy's exerted. So like, again, we talked about like a hypothetical Amber Sapphire list. So you play like the Daisy that like is a normal 1-drop Daisy. You play Tipo, and then you play this Daisy on turn 3. And then like for the rest of the game, your opponent is just 1 ink behind where they're supposed to be. Like until they can get rid of this 4/6. Like that seems pretty cool. Like seems pretty powerful. We'll have to see if that actually plays out, but like that seems really good. And of course she's inkable too. So if you miss and you need to ink her, you can. Next up, we got Cinderella. At the end of your turn, if you played a princess character this turn, you can put a card from your hand into your inkwell face down to draw a card. So notably, Cinderella is a princess. And also notably, this Judy is a detective. So she powers up herself. But this does the thing that I've complained about not enough Lorcana cards doing, where this is a card that powers up the characteristic that they also are, which I think is awesome. And so like the fact that basically this is turn 4, play Cindy, immediately ink a card to draw another card that same turn, and then next turn you're at 6 ink is really powerful. And then from there, any future uses of that is just great. Like anytime that you have a card that like, oh, I could ink this because I don't think I'm going to need it. Well, you can save it. And if you played a princess, you can get rid of it. And then use that to draw a different card, which like I think is super powerful. I think Cindy will be an extremely played card from this set. Next up, another Judy Hopps. This one is also a detective. Notably, she is a 4-drop, so you can't like perfectly curve her into the other one. When you play this character and whenever she quests, look at the top 3 cards of your deck. You can reveal a detective and put them into your hand. Put the rest on the bottom of your deck in any order. Again, compare this to the Jasmine that like pays off getting allies, but is herself not an ally. Like this one is great. She is a detective. You can use the quest to find more copies of her that you can then use to find more detectives if they stick around. I think that's super cool. Is this good enough? Like, I doubt detectives are going to be powerful enough, but like, I do think that that would be really cool. We'll talk about champions later. Kristoff, Mining the Ruins, a 3-drop with boost 1. Whenever this character quests, if there's a card under him, you can put the top card of your deck into your inkwell, face down and exerted. Also really cool, epic. And so I like that, the extended art with them. So I think this card's really good. This is another one that I'm considering. The problem with the Blurple is that like we don't really have a 3-drop slot. But the fact that like you could play this like on 4 and immediately boost and then the next turn quest, like that does seem pretty cool. Like it kind of falls into like the same thing as like this Ichabod, where like this one pays you off for if you've played a big card. This Kristoff just like once you put a card under them, every time they quest, you're gaining an extra ink. Kind of reminds me of Kita in that regard, though, of course, like Kita sets up the top of your deck, but also Kita doesn't quest. It's an activated ability. And so I think Kristoff is really cool. And then again, if you're playing it in Blurple, you have the bounce package, so you can like boost a bunch of cards under Kristoff, and then like play Madam and Elephant, bounce Kristoff, and just like draw 4. And so it's like if you're at like 6 ink and you already have 1 card under Kristoff, quest with them, put a card into your inkwell, you're not 7 ink, boost twice, play Madam Mim, draw 3, and then you get Kristoff. Like, I think that's pretty cool. Is that good enough? I don't know, but like, I like that. You're also ramping much earlier compared to the other stuff that we've talked, compared to like Ichabod. Spooky Sight, I'm so hyped for this card. Put all characters with cost 3 or less into the player's inkwell face down and exerted. After this got spoiled, you better believe I was at DLC Milwaukee being like, how useful would this card be right now? And the answer was useful. And so like the fact that here you can place, so in Blurple, you can ramp Tipo or I guess any Sapphire deck. This doesn't have to, this all works in Sapphire. You can play play Tipo or Sail on 2, play Cinderella on 3, use her ability, and then you can play Sudden Sight on turn 4. And like if you're playing against an aggro opponent, just set them all back. Sure, you're giving them a lot of lore, but like you get to just get everything that they have. And then like I was saying with Kristoff, like the problem there is like a lot of times right now, like like Blurple isn't playing a lot of like low drop characters that you care about sticking around. So like I don't care about my Rafiki if I can just get rid of all of your characters. So I think this card will be super interesting if you can use it as a way of stabilizing. Ink Amplifier, whenever opponent draws a card during the turn, if it's the second card they've drawn, you can put the top card of your deck into your inkwell face down and exerted. I wish this was anytime they've draw, if it's not the first card they've drawn. So like if they draw 5, like off second star, you could theoretically ink 5 times. Like I think that would be crazy. Probably way too powerful, but like that's the kind of stuff that I would want to see in this. I think this is probably too slow. Like you need to be able to like have it like, you just give up so much tempo to play this card, and then you need an opponent to draw another card, which like they'll probably will do. A lot of decks are drawing extra cards, but like you then need to like have a payoff for that ink. Like the fact that this isn't on a character, like I think like if this was on Kristoff and like this was the ability that unlocked with the boost, I think that would be a different story. But like this being on an item, I feel like you're just giving up too much. Fairy Godmother's Wand. During your turn, whenever you put a card into your inkwell, chosen princess gains ward. The fact that you can just like give out a whole bunch of ward, like this works really well in the Cinderella deck, for obvious lore reasons. But like the fact that you can just use this as a way of protecting your princesses, and then you can use it to power out like more princesses or more ramp with Cinderella is pretty cool. We have Castle of the Horn King. During your turn, whenever quests while here, you can ready chosen item. Probably not good enough, but like maybe there's an item that like specifically has a really good activated ability. I don't know. And then our last color of steel, we have Robin Hood. 4 ink, 2/2, boost 1. Whenever this character quests, there's a card under him. Deal 1 damage to chosen character. Cool. Goliath Clan Leader. 6 ink, 6/5. Quest for 2 at the end of each player's turn. If they have more than 2 cards in hand, they choose and discard Trombone. Welcome, Raiders. How y'all doing? Hope you're having a good one. We're chatting Lorcana, the Disney trading card game. My name's Cameron. This is Cameron+Deanna. I want to know favorite Disney movie, favorite Disney character, all of that kind of stuff. And Trombone, what were you playing? I appreciate you coming and sharing your community. Let's see. We're adding like Sleepy Hollow to the game. We got detectives. We got the Headless Horseman we got some cool stuff that we're chatting about. We are towards the tail end of stream, but appreciate y'all coming through. Oh, you're playing some more discounty? Nice. Okay, so Goliath, if they have 2 or more cards in their hand, they choose and discard until they have to, and then if they have fewer than 2, they draw until they have to. So it rewards you for having no cards in hand, because at the end of your turn you get to draw 2. It basically becomes a dock in that case, where you get to draw the cards. I like the fact that this is like kind of symmetrical, of like if you're playing Goliath, you're because they have all the gargoyles have stone by day, you are probably gonna not have cards in hand, and then this works perfectly to make sure that like you draw up to 2, you ready the character, then you draw your new card, you have the maximum available, and ideally you play all of them out. So that's pretty cool. The Headless Horseman, again, that's a cool looking, like, I don't know like what this fire thing is up here, but that's pretty cool. Shift 5, when you play this character, each player draws 3 cards, then discards 3 cards at random. Choose an opposing character and deal 2 damage to them for each action card discarded this way. That seems cool. Probably not like super playable, just because like if this was just an opponent draws 3 and discards 3, I think this card would be crazy good. But the fact that like this also can mess you up, I feel like is a challenge. Unless you're playing a card like that gets you back stuff from your discard, or plays stuff out of your discard, like the Lady Tremaine that we talked about in Ruby. So Chief Bogo, a 4/1 quest for 1. During your turn, this character can't be dealt damage, and then your opponent, your other characters gain the detective classification. Interestingly, Chief Bogo is not a detective, even though he's the chief. And so like that feels weird to me. But the fact that like Bogo can like challenge in pretty efficiently is pretty cool. Like they're a 4/1 that doesn't take damage when they're challenged on your turn. So that's pretty cool. It would be cool if there was also an effect that's like put 1 damage on or deal 1 damage to each character. And so like on your turn, you wouldn't take damage from using that card. Probably not good enough. The detective thing seems like probably flavor text, but here we are. Nick Wilde, a detective, shift 3. During your turn, whenever one of your detectives banishes another character in a challenge, draw a card. They quest for 2. Is there a 2-drop Nick Wilde? I would assume there is. Oh yeah, they're giving us a 1-drop. A 1-drop 2/2. So like that's pretty cool. Like the fact that you can get that shift. And then the fact that it counts himself as well for that effect. So yeah, that's pretty cool. Challenging decks, like we've talked about with Ruby as well, kind of struggle just because it can be hard to make sure that you can efficiently challenge, but like the payoff of they don't have to challenge and they can quest for 2 is pretty good. Mayor is what's this? Mayor Wind Dancer. They are just a vanilla. Prince Charming, 7 ink for a bodyguard. And then I think it's each player can, or each turn, only 1 character can challenge. Yeah. And then he's a 3/10. So my issue with this card is I think the decks that would want a big bodyguard like this want to be either aggressively questing, so then they don't want a 7-drop, or the characters that can play a big 7-drop don't care about bodyguard and would rather be able to challenge multiple characters in a turn. So like I feel like Prince Charming is going to never have a home just because he doesn't fit into decks that they want. Although from an art perspective, I love that the shield is the steel symbol. I think that's really cool. I always love it when we can get the Lorcana like symbols in the art. So, Fairy Godmother, 4-drop 3/5, quest for 1 with boost 3. Whenever you put a card under this character, you can banish chosen opposing character. If you do, they reveal the top card of their deck. If the card is a character, they can play it for free. Otherwise, put it on the bottom of their deck. We're discussing a hypothetical like 60 character deck. So this is cool that you can like use this on your own character to then get a different character off of your deck. There is Mickey. There's big 10-drop Mickey. So like the fact that like you could use this banish, like quest with another character, use this, get rid of it, and theoretically hit 10 drop Mickey that quests for 5. Like, that seems pretty cool. I don't know like what deck would want to do that, but I like that this also has the out of like you can use this on an opponent's character, and then they if they're not playing a 60 character deck, they'll possibly whiff. I know a lot of us not playing Amber Steel have the stories of like, oh, I was doing great and then they daisied me and they hit all of my non-characters. And so like it can definitely happen. Or you could like spin them into the best character. So like, who knows? Sword of Hercules. When you play this item, banish chosen opposing deity. So like it hits Hades, which is super fun. During your turn, whenever one of your characters is banished, one of your characters banishes another in a challenge, gain 1 lore. So like we looked at another card that did a similar effect earlier. Of when you challenge in, you gain lore. Like, I think this could see play just as like again, we've discussed this like Ruby Steel Challenger deck. I think it could definitely do some good work there. And like that could definitely give you some really cool like options. And then, yeah, the fact that it's just like, it's 1 lore, it works with Calhoun, it does a lot of cool stuff. I definitely think that there's some cool value that you could have there. Next, Ingenious Device. Banish this item, draw a card, and then choose and discard a card. So it's 5 ink total to draw and discard a card. Then during your turn, whenever this item is banished, deal 3 damage to chosen opposing character. So it's like Smash, where you deal 3 damage, chosen character or location. So you can use it to take out a location. It's just expensive. Like 5 ink to not draw a card, like to just filter a card, is a lot. And then like dealing 3 damage is great, but like you're not going up on cards that way. Feels not great for that. Again, like tempo wise, you're just like not getting a lot. Illuminary Tunnels. While you have a character here, this location gets +1 lore for each other location in play. Then when you have a character here, you can pay 1 less to play locations. I think this card is gas. Like it's a 3-drop with 1 to move there. So like going back to our other type location, Legality Core. Oops, I just want to do Set Whispers. So like going back to White Agony, like this location gets +1 for each character here. So like you can like have Illuminary Tunnels in play with 1 character, and then now you're getting a bunch of lore for Illuminary Tunnels. This then makes your other locations cheaper, which makes it so you can play White Agony Plains for 1 and then move a bunch of other characters to White Agony Plains. And then like now you're splitting your opponent's focus, where you can just basically got to keep 1 character at the Illuminary Tunnels for the rest of the game. But then you have this other location that like you're really splitting your opponent's focus. And then in blue, we talked about Spooky Sight that hits all characters, but it does not hit locations. So like even if they mass answer your stuff, you still have your locations in play, which I think is super strong. And then last we have Castle Wyvern, 2 ink, can't see, 1 to move characters there. Characters here have Challenger 1 and Resist 1. And then it gives you a lore. I think this card's good. I think there's a location right now that already is a 2-cost, gives Resist 1 and gives you 1 lore. And so like this is just a power creeped version of that. And so I think this card is very strong. Like, let's see, get rid of this, steal. Yeah, so it's like literally the exact same card, except this one also gives Challenger and gains lore. And so like, Maui's Palace of Exiled now like does nothing basically. It's like not a card in the game because you would just rather play Castle Wyvern. And so, I think this card is going to be super powerful because of that. Being able to like give Resist 1 on your character is super strong. I know I've played against people like that are just on Hidden Cove, and like just giving that one extra willpower is really good. And then there's like an amber one as well that, Rapunzel's Tower gives another 3 willpower while here, and just like the defensive strength of that is a lot. And so yeah, just being able to like have resist 1, have the location gain a lore on its own. And so like, again, in this hypothetical location deck where you're like splitting focus, like I feel like there's a lot of really cool stuff that you can do there. And so that's all of those cards. Let's go. We skipped over the champions. So this is a cycle of cards. There's one in each color, and they are a payoff for playing more characters of that color. So over here we have Mickey. Your other amber characters get +1 willpower, or +2 willpower. And he's a 4-drop, 2/5, quests for 1. And then while you have 2 or more other amber characters, this character has Singer 8, which is pretty strong. Minnie. Whenever one of your other Amethyst characters is banished in a challenge, you can draw a card. She's a 4-drop, 2/3, quests for 2. And so, importantly, works on both sides of the challenge. So if you are the one doing the challenge and your character gets banished, you draw a card. Or if you are challenged by your opponent, you still get to draw the card. And so also works with herself. So when she gets banished, you draw a card. Oh, no, it is other. Just kidding. So it works if you have multiple minis in play. So I think this card's super interesting. A lot of the like Blurple decks are mostly Amethyst characters. And so I could see, like, I have 2 of these in my list right now just to test, but I think Minnie is really good in that respect. Next we have Goofy, Emerald Champion. This is the one that we've known about the longest because this one was the one that was teased for us a while ago. Whenever one of your Emerald characters is challenged and banished, banish the challenging character, one of your other Emerald characters. So Goofy doesn't protect himself, same as Minnie, but works great in multiples. Then your other Emerald characters gain ward. Giving mass ward is so powerful. Like, that is just such like an effective way of protecting your board. We have this with one of the Auroras right now, although she's a shift. And so the fact that like Goofy is a 5-drop uninkable is pretty brutal. Donald Duck, 4-drop, 4/4, quests for 1. Your other Ruby characters get 1 strength. And then your other Ruby characters with 7 strength or more quest for 1 more. So that's cool because like you can use, like, this card pays you off for, or makes it easier for you to remove your opponent's characters. And then when you get stuck with like your big characters, you now have a payoff that they quest for more. Next, Daisy Duck, Sapphire Champion. Your other Sapphire characters gain resist 1. And then whenever one of your other Sapphire characters quests, you can look at the top card of your deck, put it on top or bottom. So I like this card a lot. It's probably too slow. Like we have the other Daisy that is super good, and I think this one is just going to be too slow. And then finally we have Pluto. During your turn, whenever one of your steel character banishes another character in a challenge, gain 2 lore. And then whenever you play another steel character, you can banish chosen item. And he's a 5-drop, 5/5 that quests for 2. I think if I was going to rank these, I think Minnie is my favorite. Pluto is my number 2. And then probably then Mickey, Goofy, Donald, Daisy. Like, that's probably my order for them. No, Daisy is inkable, and being inkable is huge. But, and she's also like just a 5/6, which is crazy. So maybe it's like Minnie, Pluto, Mickey, Goofy, Daisy, Donald. Maybe that's how I would order them in terms of favorites or ones I am most likely to play. yeah, I think Pluto is super good. Like there's Calhoun that when it banishes a character in a challenge, you gain 2 lore. So this like doubles that effect. Again, we've been discussing these hypothetical Ruby Steel Challenger decks. Like that's really cool too, of like, yeah, it just gives you another payoff when you challenge. We were talking about Mushu that has a similar effect as well. And then like the fact that Pluto also then just has the ability of your opponents can't have items in play for the rest of the game. Because like every time you play a steel character, you banish one of their items. Like, so any items that want to sit in play just get got by a steel deck now. Of course, they got to get to 3 ink, or 5 ink to play this, and then they need to play another steel character. But I think that's like a super strong ability that like won't come up a lot. I think you're playing this for winner take all. But like the fact that sometimes you just get to get them with the second ability, I think is really strong. And so, so some really cool stuff. We just looked at those, our rarities. There's obviously a ton of cards, that are in this set. And so I'm really excited for us we're talking about some Webbies. I'm really excited for getting more of that character. The modern DuckTales is super good, and you need to watch it if you haven't already. It's fantastic. So I'm always excited to see more of her. I'm excited that we get Della Duck as well, who might have already had some cards in the game. I don't actually remember if... yeah, she had a card back in set 3. And so... so our first cards for her in a long time, with her getting 2 cards in this set, 1 character, 1 song. I'm excited for more Della. And then I'm trying to just like look through stuff that we did not talk about. A lot of the gargoyles are super cool. So like here's another Demona, that challenger. So this works with that item. That item was a 3-drop. And then you can play this Demona on 4, give her rush. Yes, challenger 3, so she challenges as a 6/6. That seems pretty strong. This Elsa is probably not good enough to like see play anywhere, but the fact that it's like there was a Maleficent in set 1 that when you played her you drew a card. The fact that that is now an Elsa is really cool. It just gives that deck like the actual like on an Elsa shift deck that I've wanted to love and just has never really panned out. Like the fact that it now has a way of like playing an Elsa that replaces herself is really cool. What else is there? Oh, we referenced Junior Woodchuck's Guide. It's a 2-drop item that you can pay 2, banish it, or pay 2 to play it, then pay 1, exert it, and banish it to draw 2 cards. So like it's 3 ink total to draw 2 cards. So like that, and it's inkable. So like that feels really cool. Feels very powerful because like you can split that up over different turns. And like, whereas like Popsicle was like a turn 1 play, you always wanted to play it out as quickly as possible because it replaced itself right away. This one seems like it'll be much more of like, play this, activate it to draw a card or draw 2 cards right away. And so I'm definitely going to be citing these in because they're also inkable and they help with your inkable count, rather than second star. So like it doesn't draw as much, but it is inkable. Let's see. We talked about our Webbies already. I think she's going to be Gas and Emerald. So Be It is interesting. Like, you need to be in a green deck that wants to challenge, but like the fact that it just like powers up all of your stuff, I think could be really strong if there's a deck that fits that. Malicious, Mean, and Scary is really good because it puts a damage on everything as a song, and then there's a shift Prince Fill Up that banishes all damaged characters, and so you can like sing this with small fill up, shift big fill up, and then you just have the is it 2 L's? Nope, that's not remotely it. Yeah. Like some of the Blurple decks have already been playing this Prince Philip just because he's a warded 2/2. It's like it's kind of been like a fringe card. but the fact that like now you can sing Malicious, Mean, and Scary with this fill up and then shift here. And then like Baja was already playing the Heads Held High Under the Sea combo. And so like it is a way of getting rid of a bunch of different stuff, but it still doesn't get everything. And so like this with Malicious, Mean, and Scary just gets rid of all the stuff on your opponent's side of the board. And then leaves you with a character that can quest for 3. Like, and whereas like Heads Held High was like a dead card effectively if you didn't hit Under the Sea. So like this gives you, worst case scenario, you just play this and get rid of any damaged characters that they have. And so I'm curious if this will be good enough now to see some play as a replacement for that. Again, I say as a non-Baja player. We already looked at the Bronx. I think they're cool. I like this new art for Dragonfire. That's really all I have to say about that. Let's see. Oh, we have this new Daisy Duck. This is the one that like is here for the shift line. So it's a support 2/3. And so like I think that's really cool. Just more support is great. We also have this Anna. Right now we have Ben. That is like literally the exact same card. And so the fact that now we have it on Anna, this is kind of similar to what we were discussing with the Elsa, of like Anna is a more powerful character name than Ben is. And so having an Anna with this effect is just inherently more powerful, because like there's shift Annas. And so, I like that a lot. Let's see. Is there anything else in these? This card is interesting. Ink Runner. It's a 2-drop that when you play it, you draw a card and then you can exert it, pay 1 ink to give chosen character alert. So again, kind of the same thing that we're discussing with the book of like, this is kind of powerful just because it replaces itself. Again, it's not nearly a popsicle, but like the fact that you can use this to replace itself, you can then use it later to get an evasive. And then like, if you're playing a way of banishing your own items like Bell, Apprentice, Inventor, you can then like banish this with it to get Bell. Like that's not as good, but the fact that is something that you can play is definitely something. Players inkwell face down. Did I miss this one? We went through. Oh yeah. Put chosen character into their player's inkwell face down. The player puts the top card of their deck into their inkwell face down. So like this like double ramps an opponent, which is crazy. To that player's inkwell face down. That player puts the top card of their deck into there. Yeah. So that feels bad. I skipped over Might Solve a Mystery. I want this card to be good. So it's a song that when you look at the top 4 cards of your deck, you can reveal 1 character and 1 item and put them in your hand and put the rest in the bottom in any order. So like in my Infinity Blurple deck, like if you could use it, like sing this on 4 to find a paw and a bell, and then you can play paw, play bell, like this can all, like if you can consistently hit with this, I think this could be really cool. Again, I'm not Blue Steel by any means, but like Blue Steel plays way more items, and like using this, that if you can like hit like a character and an item in that deck, like that feels really strong to me. Again, kind of talking about like this is basically 4 ink song, draw 2 cards. Like if you build your deck right, and of course you don't whiff, but like that feels really good. Like I hope that like that's a card I would want to test, and I think could see play. Excited for more Zootopia stuff. This Basil has cool art. Then let's see. Yeah, and that's everything. So that's everything in Whispers. Again, kind of high level. We by no means went through all of the through all the commons, uncommons. So there's like 150 cards we did not talk about, but I'm really excited. I'm really excited for Whispers. I'm excited to see where we get with the new format. I'm excited to be through the Fabled metagame after the DLC. And so really looking forward to just like where we're going to end up with what is like coming up and stuff like that. And so thank you, Try and Trombone, for the raids. Appreciate you coming in, sharing your communities. I hope you all having fantastic days. Thank you, Lolhex, for the follow. As a kind of shout out and stuff, tomorrow, let me go to chatting. Tomorrow over on First Geek 411, we will be back with Daggerheart. So go and check that out. Our session 6 of our Daggerheart campaign. Our characters will be leveling up, and so we have some cool stuff on the way as we kind of get into or get set up for the second half of our campaign. And so we'll see how long it takes for them to get through the stuff that I have planned, and see if that's going to end up being another like 2-session shenanigans type thing or what. And so, but I'm really excited with how that campaign is going. And yeah, I hope everyone has a fantastic rest of your Sunday. Have a great week. Again, appreciate people coming by, especially after it's been so long since I streamed. Again, it's been like a month since I've been able to stream on a Sunday. And so I hope you have a good one. Hopefully we'll be getting back to our like regularly scheduled programming of doing streams on Sunday. So stay tuned for all of that. And then, yeah, if you're watching over on YouTube, let me know what card are you excited for from Whispers in the Well. If you were at DLC Milwaukee, what did you think about it? How'd your games go? And then if you have any cool Milwaukee stories to share, let me know. But yeah, that's where we'll be ending it for today. I'm Cameron. This is Cameron+Deanna. And I hope you have a fantastic one. Bye.